Beyond the Splattered Graves.
What's up, everybody? We are back beyond the Splattered Graves here. Yes, we are one man short at the moment, but I do promise he's not going to leave us hanging this time. Luke will be here, but
anyway,
he
will be executed.
Yes, that is true.
We've already talked about it.
Other than that, though, of course, we got the fellas here. We'll start with you, Evan. How you doing, man, Mr. 25K?
Oh, thanks, man. I'm doing pretty well. I'm tired because I spent like 8 hours editing that video today. It ended up being way longer than I thought it was going to be.
I was surprised by that too, but it was good though. I watched it.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean like 40-minute videos, and then I had to get all the screenshots and whatnot. But yeah, I'm exhausted, but I'm good. And I just noticed that Artie called us Bay, Splat, and Graves. And Dylan, henceforth, you will be known as Mr. Splat.
Mr. Splat, I'll take it, dude. Honestly, like I've never had a nickname that sticks, so let's get this one to go.
Oh, Splat will stick.
Splat will stick. I love it. It does. Alex, how have things been going on over in the void?
Pretty great. Not as organized as this young gentleman here, Goth Rogers. But I'm gonna make it stick.
I know you really want to make that work, and it might. It might work.
Yeah. No. In bigger news than 25K, I made 5K subscribers, and probably the best subscribers out of all of YouTube. Sorry to everyone.
All right, there you go. Yeah. You got the best 5,000 of them all. The rest
honestly,
of
truly. But I don't know. I haven't gotten organized yet and actually done anything. I don't even know if anybody be interested in a Q&A with my dumb ass because I just say everything.
I don't know. I kind of feel the same way where I feel like I talk so much about my life unnecessarily in our reviews that I feel like it's completely unnecessary. But I'm open to it. I'd be down for it. I might have to put a little poll out on the channel sometime.
Yeah.
But we are not alone this week, folks. No, we have some very special guests. I know when we first got this thing together, there were two people I had to reach out to and say, hey, we're doing this bi-weekly kind of podcast thing. We definitely want to have guests on and bring on some legends in the horror space. And of course, we have to start with the great Ashley and Ken Sledge from Sledgehammer Horror. Okay, I'll get around there.
Come on, man.
You had one job.
I did all right up until then.
I got to make two things perfectly clear. One, Mr. Splat's already taken.
Okay.
All right. No. Sorry, I'll find something else.
And it was funny because he was like, "Yo, we had to get some legends for the horror genre." He tried to get a hold of a couple other people. They weren't around, so then they got a hold of us, and we were honored to be the sixth choice, I believe is what you said, Dylan. So thank you so much. Nice. It means a lot for us to be here.
At least we weren't the seventh.
Right. That's where we drew the line.
Yeah.
We knew that we had to put the line in the sand somewhere, and 6 was perfect. So we appreciate you, buddy. Evan, Alex, nice to see you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome, guys. And now, guys, you should check out their channel if you haven't already. Please follow them at Sledgehammer Horror. Why don't you tell them what you guys do so that they kind of know what you guys do?
Hey.
You take it away.
Okay. So we do a podcast called My First Horror Movie, where we bring guests on to talk about the first horror movie they watched, what it meant to them. And then Ashley has a couple brainchilds. Didn't See That Coming, where we talk about a movie with a twist ending, versus where we verse off two different original versus a remake. And then both of our personal favorites at the moment, In Defense Of, where we bring guests on to defend a horror movie that maybe is not very well liked in the community and why that movie means so much to them. And then we do movie reviews, top 10s, lives.
We just like to talk about horror movies in general. Yeah.
If there's a horror movie to talk about, we would like to speak on it.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
That's a very good way to go about it. I have learned. Yeah. I mean,
I've too.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I think honestly the ones that I've seen the most of are the ones that we got to take part in is the My First Horror Movie, because I was telling Ken before we even watched that, I'd been watching those for so long because I always thought it was such a neat concept because it was
It's a
just
great
like
perspective. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's kind of like the great icebreaker for getting to know people, especially in the horror genre, because you always are curious, like what is the first thing that got you into this or whatnot.
Right.
And yeah, it's awesome. Evan, myself, and Luke, we've all been on it, so we got to get some support over there for Alex. He's got to make an appearance, so you guys got to.
I literally just DM'd him before this so that we can hook it up when we're done.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Hell yeah.
I DM'd him over at the Void, so
Okay,
we're
cool.
gonna make it happen, man. Like I'm very excited.
Yeah,
to work
no
with
pressure, by the way.
I'm looking forward to that.
And I also got to say, you guys had that massive collab video. I know we were talking a little bit about it off stream there, Ken, but that was super cool of you guys. Honestly, I loved seeing fans of the community, other creators all come in and talk about, the scariest non-horror films. So like, that was a great one.
That was, and it's funny because like, we had such a good time with that, and we had so many friends that wanted to be a part of it that just didn't have time to do it at that exact moment. So we are going to be doing a part 2 of that, just because it was so much fun to see, like, hear about these different moments in different movies, and some of them brought back like feelings for me. Like I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that moment. Like, and how you felt when you watched those for the first time.
Oh yeah, and I just appreciate the opportunity to get to talk about a movie I love, Detroit. I never get to talk about it, and like it's something that I feel like is supremely underrated. So that gave me at least a couple minutes to spew my love for that film. And I mean, if you guys don't know, it's Catherine Bigelow. She also did a great horror film called Near Dark. Have any of you guys seen Near Dark? Are you guys Near Dark fans?
Vampire movie, right?
Of course, yes,
Yeah.
vampire film. Evan, that was a no.
Correct.
All right, you've got to change that, man. I think it's a lot easier to
Big
find
one.
now, but 5 years ago, you couldn't find that thing anywhere. It wasn't streaming. The Blu-ray was like $150. It was ridiculous. I only
a
saw
lot
it
of
because
fans
Luke had
like
it.
either that one or The Lost Boys.
Is this
It's like
1987?
one of the two usually, kind of like American Werewolf.
I couldn't
I was
pick
just saying, it
between
came out
both of
in
them.
the late 80s.
Yeah, I think I found it here.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't pick between the two that you just mentioned there. Lost Boys, Near Dark. To me, those are like some of, if I'm talking like, and I know they're not like modern by today's standards, but like modern vampire takes, like those are both just like excellent interpretations. Like they're so fun.
Both great. I mean, it's just a tit for tat. It's like when you get down to the finer point, whatever is your personal thing,
Oh yeah, and
I still will never be able to. Fright Night for me will always be.
Fright Night.
That's
king.
true.
Yeah,
Fright
really
Night.
good one.
Luke will beat the crap out of me if we don't bring up
My
Fright
favorite
Night. Yeah,
vampire movie isn't out yet.
you're really pulling for Nosferatu, which we have a little
lot
bit
of chips,
news there. But we're going to talk to a few of the folks in the community real quick here. We obviously have another regular to the Splattercast. Joe over here with Killjoy Jake
What's
stopping
up,
in.
buddy?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
May I mention that earlier when Jake was streaming, I gave him a super chat and asked him to leave the room because I had to shit, and he didn't leave.
Wow, thanks for sharing it.
And now he's still fucking here.
Jesus Christ. So anyway, Ken and
why you gotta bring out that kind of language when we have guests on? But we have Artie.
defecate.
Artie's back in the chat here, and again, he's discussing Evan getting undressed.
I
on
always
stream
start with
there.
the sweaters because people always talk about the sweaters, and I'm like, I gotta give the people what they want. But then I'm like, it's too damn hot down
changed
here.
his shoes while he was singing a song earlier, but you guys missed that part. So
Yeah, I have one sock off right now. We'll see what the other one does throughout the
she
stream.
be my neighbor.
Cynthia
poll or
is
something.
making an appearance in the chat here.
Hey,
What's up,
Cynthia?
Cynthia? Awesome. There we
What's
got
up,
some
guys? Hi, everybody.
Near
We're not
Dark
ignoring
Love
you.
from our
Hey!
Horror. So very
Happy
cool, very
birthday
cool.
to Sam from Our
Happy
Life in Horror.
birthday,
Her
Sam.
birthday is today. I thought I
happy
told you.
birthday.
I thought I told you no work today. You go enjoy yourself. Have fun.
There we are. And we got Carbonite Dreams saying Sub Splattercast, Ashley
Carbonite.
Ken. There we go, Dave Deathray. And then let's see, got anything else going on in here? Artie is saying, happy to have this live stream as I work late. Thanks,
Hell
gang,
yeah.
for the company. Of course, Artie, of course. Yeah, Artie is one of our regulars. He's always
Zang.
popping up in here.
Yeah.
Always shedding some
Cynthia.
light and some positivity in here.
Thank you for being
good
here,
fella.
Artie.
Mhm.
And of course, Our Life in Horror says thank you there. So
Say Hello,
Awesome,
DD as well,
awesome.
another
Yes.
regular.
Yes, we have DD here as
Hello.
well.
Cynthia.
All righty, yeah. So
I
that's
see Billy and Susie and Eric.
I'm still getting used to this whole thing. I'm so much better at just like recording because I don't have the pressure of like, oh, if I mess something up, I can't just cut it out. So I'm
almost
still getting
becomes
there.
second nature, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just roll with it.
Just roll with it.
Absolutely. But speaking of let's roll with it, let's get into some of the news here. This is what we're doing today. As usual, we're getting into some news, which we're going to bring up a little bit. We were talking about it off air. I don't know, guys, and we can talk to the chat, see how they feel about it, if we're going to really show trailers much anymore on this live stream. Because YouTube has just been beating the crap out of us behind the scenes with that. Like, they are demonetizing every stream. Some streams are getting pulled down even if we're not monetizing them. They're still ripping them down, and we don't know about it until we go and check our our studio, and it's just like, oh yeah, this has been down for 3 days, so nobody's been able to catch it. So,
well, not just that, but I think there's a lot of people that don't like watching trailers anyway.
Yeah.
So I think
that was one that we had last time where there was that new Longlegs trailer out.
Mm-hmm.
And like we wanted to watch it because we'd already been sold on the movie.
Yeah.
And see, for us, like because we do trailer reactions for all the new trailers that come out. I bet you at least 5 of them are just completely demonetized for copyright, and we just let them. Because they're 3-minute videos, like if the worst, at least we can try to get them out. It's not always about getting paid, as long as we can get our opinions out there and have people check it out and see what we think about things. So, and I know a lot of people, especially, even in our little neck of the woods, our little sledgehammer heads, copyright, they don't tune into those videos because they don't want to watch trailers. They like to be unspoiled about trailers. So if we have any opinion as guests, I would say steer away from playing trailers during your live for people that might not want to see them.
Like,
it looks like chat's in the same boat too.
Yeah, so far, I mean, I kind of had a feeling that Necro would be in there. Yeah, he's always not a fan of trailers. He likes obviously movies, but he doesn't want to get spoiled. So I completely understand where he's coming from.
That last time too, because we were like, this might, because two of us didn't want to watch a trailer. Like, I think I'm done.
Especially for
Can we talk about how amazing Necro's artwork is? Like the picture,
it's awesome, dude. It's so sick.
Yeah,
we talked for like 10 minutes last week or last stream about that. Is just how like creative and fun they are. Like they are the best. I love it so much. I think it was the week before last, he put us all on Last of Us characters. So it just looked so legit. That was so funny. Yeah, every time he puts those stuff together, I'm like, he's fucking genius, man. I love watching it.
Even like when I see like the Joe Rogan shit that he does on the feed, I'm always like, fucking awesome. This is the shit. Necro, thank you. You gave me a genuine belly laugh at work today when I saw the picture you made today. So thank you.
I know, and it was so perfect. It's like it's just the right amount of campy, fun entertainment. Like I literally can't help but they make me smile every time they pop up in my Instagram message. I'm just like, dude, this is so brilliant, and I love it.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
He's giving us back there.
You soothe our black
Please
hearts.
don't change, Necro. You're a good friend. I like talking to you, and I love the art that you make. So thank you for being you.
Yeah, thanks for the support.
We got Davey Deathray in here, says it's the first time on the Splattercast channel. Ashley and Ken hooked me in, digging this so far. Well, thank you for coming by.
Davey.
We do appreciate you. Yep, I know. Usually, it's funny, whenever I collaborate with you guys or have one of you on the channel, new people just pop in and they're always showing their support for Sledgehammer Horror. So I seriously mean it when I say you guys are like the mom and dad of the horror community. Like everybody
that's how I always describe
flocks
you
to
guys
you,
when people
loves
like bring
you,
it up,
and then it just is like trickle down, but like not in the bad way. It's like we get awesome people.
We love that.
Yeah,
like we love the fact. I mean, like for people that don't know us, like we've been married 19 years. We've been together since high school, and the fact like we have a 16-year-old that's driving and like.
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy.
Hell yeah.
We just like to be like a safe place.
Yes,
for people. Like,
yes, we love to just be a place
where it feels
people...
like. You're just like a haven for people in the community. It's beautiful,
right? Come and be yourself and have fun, and let's just just don't. Even if we disagree, don't be rude.
Yeah.
Like if we all agreed, there'd be no reason to do these things. There'd be no reason for YouTube. There'd be no reason for critics because we'd all feel the same way.
Wait, you guys don't feel the same way I do all the time?
Do you think
we're
we're
just
bad
talking
people,
about that, actually?
That makes us bad people.
I'm about to go on a long. pedantic-ridden rant about how you guys don't feel the same way that I do.
Please don't.
We're all the
geez.
same.
You know, it is everybody's entitled to their opinion, no matter how wrong it is.
Right, and that's why it's good when they get down and do interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
The first question being, "What's your first horror movie?" Because that's how we all got started.
You know,
So,
and
that's
sometimes
the
there
root
are
of it all,
objective
guys.
things like, you know, Ken doesn't like Trick or Treat, and that's wrong.
I know, isn't that horrible?
But
I'm still working on him. I'm still working on him.
Yeah,
Well,
can you
Maybe a
please?
couple more Halloweens.
The
and-
craziest thing about it is like seriously, because I'd never realized it before, but like I didn't realize how bad all of your tastes were until we started. It's insane.
I was thinking the
never
same
knew it
thing.
was
I mean-
so
Okay,
bad.
Jason
Well,
goes to hell.
Another thing
What
we
about
can touch on
Krampus,
at some
though?
point.
Do you like
You're sitting
Krampus?
in a room of people who loved In a Violent Nature. So
Yeah, I was
Oh,
about
yeah.
to. I was about to say we're gonna have to discuss.
We'll be
that
talking
a little
about
bit
that.
here because
I didn't say
Oh, God.
love.
well,
Let me get
enjoy.
my
thoroughly
energy
enjoyed.
drink.
Yeah, I mean, like
But
the whole
before
time I
we
was
go
watching
there-
the movie, I was literally in the seat, like
I get it.
would
I know.
walk 500. It's just again, I don't want to say I hated the movie because
I'm
the
just fucking with
kills
you.
are some of the best I've
That
ever
was
seen, and
a
the practical
positive,
effects. But there's just things that, like, for me personally, I know a lot of people got into it. I do not like the absence of score. That really bothers me. As somebody who's a huge music fan who wants to someday compose a film, I listen for scores and I listen to how they enhance things. And it really bummed me out hearing absolutely zero score throughout. And there's no... most people hated the last 10 minutes. That's my favorite part of the movie.
Because there's at least tension in the last.
Yeah, like the last 10 minutes of that film, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen?
that's where the score was too, right?
Come on, let's
oh, and I
do
do
it.
want to.
No.
I do want to preface.
Don't
this
mention
because
it.
brings up. Yeah, no spoilers. So we can't.
No,
do any
no,
spoilers
absolutely
for it.
not.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no, the movie
not.
just came out. We won't spoil it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we would never
won't
do that.
No fear there, because I know there's still probably some folks who haven't gotten to see it and stuff. But
Yeah.
I do.
We would
agree
never
with you
want to
guys.
ruin a film for somebody. But yeah, the last 10
Well,
minutes
let's
was
just
actually
say
my
that it
favorite
was
part of
his
the
mother the whole time.
It was
So-
just it was his mom.
Yeah.
But
At the end,
Alex,
he
what were
pops
you-
out of the lake and
He
it's
drowned as a
yeah,
kid.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
some weird.
Yeah.
Alex, what were you about to say there?
Oh, I wanted to ask you guys because you said you didn't like Trick or Treat, and then Ashley does. So I'm curious. You do not?
I do.
Oh, she loves
Oh,
it.
that's what I
Yeah.
said. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what about Krampus?
Both love it.
Yeah, we love Krampus.
Okay.
It's funny
so
'cause-
then,
Okay,
then
okay,
there's
that's good.
still
at
hope.
least.
There's still
In our
hope.
didn't see that coming episode for Krampus at the beginning, I'm like, this is the director's best movie. He did it
Krampus is great.
so he could never make a holiday movie that lives up to how great Krampus is. And
Yeah.
Ashley's in the video
Oh
like,
my god.
she's like, I write the scripts for a reason, Ken. Stick to the script. Stop ad-libbing.
I gotta say, like, it's probably the horror fan in me and just the love of Halloween that puts Trick or Treat just a little bit over that one. But
I love
like,
both
dude,
of them
both
so
those
much.
movies are just so like they perfectly encapsulate both their holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I can't go a Halloween without watching Trick or Treat, and I can't go a Christmas without watching Krampus. So
True.
I make him
It's-
watch it.
they're
I was gonna
classic.
say, we still, because even our daughters
Mhm.
love
Yeah.
Trick or Treat. You know, like we
Well,
buy
I
them
mean-
Sam Suckers every year. It's part of our Halloween tradition. They eat their Sam Suckers while we watch the
love
movie.
that.
So
And I
you said you do
just-
love Creepshow though, right?
Oh, the first one?
Creepshow, yeah, the first one.
Oh, I love Creepshow.
All right.
I love Creepshow. I love Creepshow 2, but my favorite anthology movie is Tales from the Hood. Tales from the Hood
Yeah.
is in
Interesting.
probably my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Mhm.
And whenever we're asked to be guests and talk about movies that affected us or, you know, the scariest scenes we've ever seen, I always talk about the ending of Tales from the Hood.
Mm.
Like that
Is that the one with the
scared me
cop?
so bad as a kid, I couldn't sleep for like 2 days.
Is Tales from the Hood the one with the cop at the end?
Yeah, it has one of the cop anthologies where he gets the
Mhm.
needle in his
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking.
The
There's
ending
also
of that movie.
movie Necronomicon has a cop one too. It's an anthology and it has a
I haven't
cop
seen
in
that
it
one.
that's really disturbing. It's a Lovecraft anthology.
I'll have to check
Mm.
it out. But yeah, Tales from the Hood, that ending scared me so bad as a kid. Seriously, like I couldn't sleep for like 2 days. Like that's how
that's a
scared I
good one.
was as a kid.
Yeah, Tales from the Hood is one that I do want to revisit because, like, I saw it on, I think it was AMC or Chiller. They always do their like 31 Days of Halloween or
Yeah.
whatever, back when I had cable at my dad's, and I just remember being a kid and like stumbling across that movie. That, and then I always get it confused with another one, but I think it was just probably late night it being on is Bone, Snoop Dogg.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I
completely trumped Bone.
yeah, I don't know why I feel like I got scenes mixed up from that in my brain. So it's just like it's one I do have to revisit. Was the sequel any good? I don't remember. I know there was a sequel a couple years ago. Did anybody check it out?
Yes, I saw it. It wasn't as good.
The thing about the sequel, and like this is a story I've told a lot just because of how it impacted me and my son. We watched Tales from the Hood 2 together. And we watched the movie and it's entertaining enough. You know, like it was okay. And then they get to a story and it is a retelling of the Emmett Till tragedy. And they actually put Emmett Till in the story and what happened to him in real life in the story. And I was fucking disgusted. I was genuinely upset. I was just like, look, I'm all about horror being edgy and being political and whatever. But when you use the real life beating and murder of a 14-year-old boy for whistling at a white girl into your story that was a bullshit story anyway, I was.
And it was done half-ass kind of. So it's like,
it was gross. Like it was pathetic. And I thought that Tales from the Hood 3 actually was good. Like Tales 3 is not as good as 1. But Tony Todd's in that one, and he has what happens with Tony Todd in Tales 3 is absolutely fantastic. But I do agree with Paul. Keith David was the best part of Tales 2.
Yeah,
he completely stole the show in Tales 2.
I mean, Keith David, you can't go wrong with him, and damn near anything he's in, dude. Like even the 5 minutes he was in Nope, it was like he was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. So yeah, Tales 2, it could have been okay, but that. I'll never ever. I watched it once, and I told my son, I was like, you know, what they did there is not something I would support as a horror fan. I'm not gatekeeping. If people like the movie, that's fine. I just didn't like that.
I completely agree with that sentiment. I mean, it is one of those things where, I guess because I haven't seen the movie, I can't say too much about it. But I always hate when they're trying to go for like, especially when they're adapting a real life tragedy. They're like, we're going to use this as shock horror because, like, you know. People call like Terrifier 2 and you know like When Evil Lurks, they get labeled shock horror. It's like, yeah, they're shocking and they're horrific, but they're so out of the realm of believability that it's like you can have fun with that. It can disturb you, but it can still be like, okay, it's a movie. But I hate when people take like real serious topics and then try to put a horror spin on it,
like the Gacy slasher movie or whatever.
There's a TV show that I was asked to do, and I was a little hesitant about it because it does kind of traipse down that road, which was Them.
Oh, that show, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, the first season I watched, and that was like pretty what they call trauma porn. And and so I was a little hesitant to be like jumping on the sequel for that. So I was like, I'm a little busy. I don't know if I can.
Coffee Table that?
Huh?
Would you not call Coffee Table trauma porn? Because that's what that felt like to me.
No, because it's not based off reality. Like,
I guess, that's true. I mean, it's not real, but
yeah.
I think there's a level of class to Coffee Table that, like, if you watch the show he's talking, because that's the one that they did they called it the Cat in the Bag or whatever in the first.
Yeah, and they
season.
had Mr. Bone Jangles or something. I can't remember, and they sang a song.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was dark. It's a terrible, terrible sequence. You will.
I learned a few things from it because I didn't know about it and looked them up later. But other than that, yeah, a lot of people were pretty upset with it.
Well,
it sucks when people recommend you do something and you just can't do it. We had a good friend want us to do a versus episode on Children of the Corn, the original versus the TV remake versus the film remake. And we were like, yeah, absolutely. And then we went to the TV remake, and there was so much child sex scenes and stuff like that. And
it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and we were just like, look, we'll do the 80s film versus the brand new remake from 2023, but we can't include that other one because we can't put any spotlight on that type of art. Again, some people like it, they can move past that. When I see two kids that are 15 and 16 having sex to try to procreate for their He Who Walks Behind the Rose, God, it's a little too much for me. I have one of those sitting right next door to me at all times.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it makes me physically uncomfortable to see kids.
Which one is that again?
That's the TV version, I guess.
The TV version.
Really?
popcorn.
That's why I was confused. I was like, the TV version was the worst. Oh no, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like a sci-fi original. It was the only sci-fi original horror film that I don't think we liked because we loved the Leprechaun one, Leprechaun Returns.
Yeah.
And then
Stephen Kostanski, by the way.
The Slumber
Slumber Party Massacre.
We're talking
That
about
was
him later.
amazing. But yeah.
I got a couple of. I have one that I have to bring up if we're talking sci-fi originals, maybe two. But have you guys seen Abominable from like 2006? Oh, that's so good.
Is that with Jeffrey Combs in it?
Yeah, dude. Like that's one of I absolutely recommend it. It's one of our earliest videos. We talk about it for like 2 hours, but it's awesome. It's again, like you said, Jeffrey Combs. Oh my God, Bishop from Aliens. I can't believe I'm blanking his name. But yeah, dude, this is still back in the time when Lance Henriksen, when sci-fi was acquiring films instead of making their own originals, but they were dubbing them sci-fi originals. So it's all practical effects. It's like an abominable Bigfoot monster in a full practical suit, like face and everything. And it's just dope. It is so dope. Very gory, very creepy. Lots of good shots. Absolutely, 100% recommend.
By the way,
and then you also have the other one. Sorry, would you say?
I was just thanking someone in chat. They said something about my videos. I just wanted to make sure that I got to it because I would forget otherwise. Thank you, Jimmy.
You got Bobcat Goldthwait's found footage Bigfoot movie too.
Oh yeah. What was that? Willow Creek.
Willow Creek, yeah.
Love that one. Which he really liked, a movie we're going to talk about here briefly in a little bit. But I do want to touch on this story first, I think, because we've already talked about it on our channel. So with Luke coming in shortly, he can kind of miss this one because it won't be fresh news for him. But so to kick things off, I want to discuss Blumhouse. How we're all big Blumhouse supporters, right? They're always knocking it out of the park recently, especially with films like
There's a lot
Night
of Blumhouse
Swim
that I love.
and Imaginary, two all-time classics. But they just acquired My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
I want to go around the room here, starting with Ashley and Ken. Where do you guys sit with My Bloody Valentine, both the original and the remake? Is this like one that you guys adore, or is this one that's just kind of like, we watched every once in a while?
I adore both of them, actually. I really liked the remake, and I think that the Miner is a scary villain, and it's a lot of fun. So you like it too, don't you?
I do. Both of them? Absolutely, I do.
Yep.
I actually like the remake more than the original, and this is not a knock on the original because I think that the original is really good. But I just think the remake, I don't know, it just there's too much goofiness in the first one, I guess, and I don't mind it being campy. But there's just a little bit too much of the goofiness in that one for me. And I still love it.
Like pulling their pants down.
Pantsing each other and snorting a can of Coke.
They used to do it, though.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I'm not knocking it for that. I'm just saying, like, if I'm watching other, I prefer the tone of the remake to the original. I still love the original. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But when I think about these movies, I think about how even the remake seems like, not in the horror community. In the horror community, they're loved, but to a general audience, even the remake, even with Jensen Ackles, is that his name? Like, it didn't get the huge hit that you would have thought it would have gotten. My biggest thing with Blumhouse, if you're going to do it, we're not going to be able to stop you anyway. Please, for the love of fuck, do not come out and say that you're doing a trilogy. Make your first film, see how your first film does, and let's go.
This isn't working.
I hate it. I absolutely.
It's not
if you have to remember, they didn't do that with Halloween 2018.
No.
With Halloween 2018, we didn't know it was a trilogy at first.
But they
then
did
they came out with
announce kills and ends immediately.
Right. But then, they were like, "Hey, Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be a trilogy. The Exorcist is going to be a trilogy." And then you had other studios that were like, "Hey, we're going to make the Strangers trilogy." It's like, listen, make a film, worry about that film, make it as amazing as you can, and then worry about what you're going to do after that.
Yeah, I agree. And I do want to chime in and say that I agree with both of you. I am a big fan of both of them for very different reasons. I actually think that the remake is a very fun, just like it hits that right tone of like those kind of mid 2000s, early 2010s remakes where it's just like it's kind of the same reason I think why I love the Friday the 13th remake so much. Is it's just like it got what it was doing and it wasn't trying to be anything but that. And I think that was kind of the right spin on the material. But Alex, how do you feel about My Bloody Valentine, both the remake and the original?
Well, I just fully watched the original because I've seen it before, but I was very young, and I hadn't seen it. I've seen the remake before that, so I watched the new one again. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really one of my favorite slashers, just for fun. Like, there's no way that you can't enjoy that movie without like the kills, the gore, the laundromat in particular is one of my favorite.
The original
scenes.
or the remake you're talking about?
The original, and then the sequel. I actually kind of like it. I don't think it's a very different tone, but I still think it's fun and gory, and you know, it's better than half the slashers we got in that time frame anyway. So it's like, you know, I still think it's a really good slasher, and I've seen so many worse ones than that. But as far as Blumhouse, I don't really know. They are doing, I love their ideology behind doing a movie for less, because, you know, when you really think about it, like movies like Halloween were made on nothing. And they also put a lot more time into those scripts and what they were doing to make everything perfect. They weren't just banging them out like, you know, quantity over quality. You have to take your time with them. You can't just bang them out. You set them for the future. But you know, they make these people write out these scripts real quick. They don't do passovers on them, and then they turn out the crap. And then so I think they should take their time with it, especially with this. I think they kind of they probably learned their lesson a little bit with the Exorcist. I think that really kind of set them back a little bit, and I think Mike Flanagan kind of stepped in and said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna need a little bit more control and a little bit more time with this next."
He's the
thing."
producer. Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping anyway. Yeah. So hopefully, you know, maybe it could be good. I'm not gonna hate on it necessarily without seeing it, but I hope it's good. That's all I hope. And if not, I still have the original and the remake. So
Of course,
Right.
of course. And Evan, you have both reviewed these films on your channel, so you know I know you might differ a little bit from us here.
Yeah,
but how do you feel about both the original and the remake?
The original My Bloody Valentine is one of my favorite slashers. Like, I saw it when I was pretty young, and I have a lot of nostalgia attached to that movie. I watch it every year. There's also like a bit of a cultural thing because it was shot in like a couple hours away from me. So like the culture in that movie is very much something I can relate with. Like the Eastern Canadian maritime thing is what I grew up around. So that like the goofiness, them fucking around like snorting Coke cans and shit. And
that's what all Canadians do.
It's a very Canadian activity.
It's a Saturday night.
But like just that kind of energy is something that I always resonated with. The scenes when they're like drinking in the like junkyard and roasting fucking food on the engine of the car. I'm like, this is like home to me. And they're wearing all these plaid jackets and the fisherman hats. It's beautiful. I love it.
Is it called Canucksploitation though for you guys? Is that what
care.
they add it to that?
Like, you can call it that.
No.
Whatever you want.
I don't mean that as a takeaway. I mean, like, is it considered also Canucksploitation?
I've never heard that term before. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just making shit up, making us look bad for being American.
No, I'm just old.
Making us look like we don't know nothing.
So I love that kind of stuff. I am not a fan of the remake because so much of what I love about that first one is just like the really like fun tone, and I found that the remake took itself too seriously. It wasn't like completely serious, but I didn't have nearly as much fun with it. I didn't think the kills were very interesting, and a lot of them were just too CGI laden to really work well for me, especially when you look at that original, and the practical effects in that movie are so good. To come out with one that's like almost entirely CGI was really irritating to me. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't like the tone. Score was bland. I wasn't a fan of what they did with the ending, even though I don't like the ending in the original all that much. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the remake. It's not terrible. It's not the worst slasher movie I've ever seen. It just doesn't really do anything for me. In terms of the Blumhouse thing, it's one of those things where I feel like My Bloody Valentine was one of those weird situations where because the ending of that first movie is such a bizarre thing. It never really got any sequels, but it also wasn't huge when it first came out. But it just, they didn't set themselves up well for any sort of continuation. It was it was a weird thing to try and bounce off of. So I don't know what kind of approach they're going to do. I would imagine they're probably going to do a legacy sequel because that's just what they've been doing. I hope they don't. I hope if they're doing something, they just do something brand new. I hope they don't.
Yeah, me too.
I'm with you. I really hope that
if
they're
they
not
do
doing
that, then I'm just done.
Yeah, I really hope this isn't a legacy sequel. That wouldn't make any sense to do, but it also didn't make sense for The Exorcist, and they still did that. So who knows?
Well, I just want to say real quick that since you don't agree with me about this remake, we will be making a video called Bad Canadian Horror Movies, and we will be talking about you, Evan, in depth. So I hope you're ready for that.
Make sure to tag me in that, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be dropping soon. I just want to let you know since you don't agree with us on how
just
we
you wait
feel
for my
about
trick-or-treat review, motherfucker. Just you wait.
We'll just make it a multi-channel thing. We'll hop in there with you.
Yeah.
We'll do like 30 movies, all Canadian. We'll just
I'm intrigued by this. Blumhouse is capable of making good movies. I just rewatched The Black Phone this week. Like they have good movies. So I'm not like completely hopeless. I just don't want it to be I don't want it to be a legacy sequel, and I don't want it to be just like a generic slasher movie. In the right hands, it could be fun. I want that fun Eastern Canadian tone. That's something I really love about My Bloody Valentine. If they can capture some of that, if they can stick to keeping things practical, and they don't try to do some wild, metaphorical slasher thing, just make it simple. Right. Make it a simple slasher movie. I think that's what it's all
about.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's just the fun, straightforward slasher movie. That's what My Bloody Valentine is. And if they can stick to that, then we're about to be... wow, that was not even on purpose.
Oh, yes, he did it!
We got him to break! Everyone take a drink!
God damn your head up, dude.
Ouch, you fucking... Anyway, I'm curious.
Welcome to America.
Well, I do want to throw it over to the chat real quick because we had a couple of really good ones. Kind of going back to the sci-fi thing before this too. Children of the Corn sequels are hilariously bad, and one of them is kind of okay, says Artie. So yeah, I have not seen enough of them to really chime in on that, but I saw the one in 2023. I did go to the theater for that one. I toughed that one out for a review, and
in part 2, a man in a wheelchair gets hurled through a diner window at the speed of light. It's the most ridiculous thing. I think I only remember part 6, and that's about it, which is because it was the same kid from the first one comes back and he's evil and crazy, and it was very 90s.
The first one. I think Children of the Corn
I didn't
my
either.
favorite horror franchise ever.
I remember my dad telling me he walked out of Children of the Corn when that came out in the theater. He just left.
I have not had any desire to really explore it. It's one of those ones where it's I've seen the original, and like I said, I saw the remake for the channel, and I'm pretty good. I don't really need it. I don't even think it's all that interesting of a King story. So there's 100 others I'd put before it.
I need to go down that road. I went down the Howling road, and that was pretty bad.
And this one mentioned these Howling sequels.
Howling gets rough, but
it does.
That needs a proper sequel.
I didn't even know there were any sequels to it.
Dude, there's so many of them too. You got to watch the marsupials. That's the best one. I'm not being serious.
I actually don't mind that one. It's so weird.
Necro says Z Nation on Sci-Fi was also good. My wife was a huge Z Nation fan. She got really tired of Walking Dead and then transitioned to this show. But I just remember her watching season after season when it was on Netflix. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Any of you guys Z Nation fans? Anybody check that out?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Nope.
All
right, it was okay. I don't remember it too well. It started getting really campy, super campy.
Isn't that how all zombie shows go?
Walking Dead? No, it's still bone serious.
Davey says it's a shame that both of these films, he's talking My Bloody Valentine, end with cliffhangers that never get resolved. I kind of hope that would be the approach they take with the Blumhouse one, is we don't have to end on a cliffhanger. Someone in our comments on the video we did about it said, why don't we, if we do it, why don't we like see how the first one goes, try to do something interesting with the story that's a little different, and then go back and do a prequel that is literally telling the story of Harry Warden and all the other miners trapped and watching him go insane and have to eat his buddies. And I was like,
or go the Halloween
cool.
2018 route where you just make a movie that like can work on its own, and if it didn't succeed, they could have left it there and it would have been a fine ending, but leave some doors open
for it right now. You know?
No, I'm not telling them that they need to like plan to make a trilogy, but make a story that if it's not like a huge success and it doesn't make sense to make more, you can end it there. But if it is successful, then you have opportunities to continue it. That's what they did with Halloween 2018.
Right.
And it worked.
What do you think is the most successful prequel?
Successful.
Final Destination 5.
You think? Yeah, I guess that's a pretty good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's successful how? Like, are you talking monetarily, or are you talking just like?
I just mean well liked.
I think I like Final Destination 5 as an answer, just because you don't know it's a prequel until the last 5 seconds, which is pretty awesome. That was a pretty cool one, but I don't know, man. Best prequel. I'm
actually looking forward to the new
movie. Did you say The Thing, Dylan? I swear to God.
I love that.
I know you do.
I think it's pretty good. I do like that one a lot. Yeah, The
Thing 2011 is a fantastic movie.
The CGI
that got ruined by special effects.
It really did.
Yeah, I think that it's smart. I love the different takes they do with it. Like the fillings thing is such a nice, like, we're paying homage to the whole like blood scene, because you can't redo that. Like that is such a perfectly well executed scene, but that's a neat way to do it. If you know the backstory behind that film and what the original director's intent was to make the ending where
the practical
in
stuff
the ship,
like behind the scenes, was amazing.
Yeah, so like you guys know that, like I don't know if you guys probably know this, but the shiny glimmery thing that they show in the ship was originally supposed to be an alien that hung himself because he didn't want to get assimilated. But they covered it with that because the producers were like, no, that's stupid. We don't want to go with that idea. It's like, how is that stupid? You have a completely different species, different race of alien that is like, yeah, no, fuck this. I'm taking myself out because this thing is horrible. Like,
but didn't their blood even exist outside of it? So hanging them wouldn't kill them, right?
I mean, if he's already assimilated, no, he's done. Like, there's no, and he might not even know. But like,
I see what you're saying. There was an alien. I get you. I got you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry.
My
no,
bad. I didn't know what you mean. Now I get it. Like that they overtook the ship and then he hung himself before they could take his body. Got it.
But yeah.
Also,
like recent prequels. I'm trying to think about ones that like.
Right.
Oh yeah, I loved Prey. Yeah.
The Predator prequel. Prey.
Oh, Prey, yeah.
That was a recent one.
I
First
mean,
Omen was recent.
people
I
were
like
being
First
picky
Omen
with
as a
that one,
standalone thing, but
And I did
as a prequel.
It's all fun.
But
I wanted to throw this back there. Ashley, were you going to say something about a My Bloody Valentine prequel?
I don't remember.
I thought you were about to chime in there, and then we started popping.
No, she said that would be a great idea.
Oh, okay,
For the
cool. All right,
Harry
gotcha.
Warden.
The prequel. Yeah, that would be cool to see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been seeing that popping up around, so I've been loving to hear everybody's takes and ideas on it, and just how they would execute it. Because like, I think that's a fun idea, but I do think they need to kind of like establish it. But yeah, I mean, as far as prequels go, like
Necromechanical said Pearl.
Maybe
Pearl,
he's like a ghost arm or
Pearl's
something
pretty
in
good.
the sequel.
Yeah, man, Pearl's pretty solid actually. That is
I
a
like
good one.
Sam's answer. Orphan First Kill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just recently actually got caught up on that. Luke watched it when it came out and
Still haven't
reviewed
seen
it,
that
but
one.
I did not. I didn't. I was not up on that one at the time,
Yeah.
but it was actually very good.
First
The
Omen
twist
is
surprised
still my favorite horror movie of the year so far, but as a prequel, it's not the prequel elements that make it good. I just like it on its own.
You know, one that, if we're talking prequels, that kind of surprised me for how good they were. Annabelle Creation.
That's
was
a
one
great pick because Annabelle sucks, and then the second one was really good.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, how it made the first one better because that one was
Creation was very good.
Yeah, Ashley and Ken, how do you guys feel about Annabelle Creation? Is that one you guys have checked out?
Yeah.
That gets the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Little
Gotcha,
girls
gotcha.
out of the farm. Like, yeah, that shit was scary as hell.
Yeah, especially like her not being able to walk and stuff like that, like added a
Enhanced,
whole
yeah.
different level of anxiety.
Ashley's got a prequel.
Oh yeah, Ouija. Mike
Oh
Flanagan.
yes.
Wait,
Oh my god. Yes.
How did I not? Wait, Ouija came to mind. I was like, no, that's not a prequel, but yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It
It
is.
absolutely
Yeah.
is.
What you talk about, Mike Flanagan, like making things better. That's one for sure.
Ouija
Yeah.
He's done it a
Ah,
couple
yeah.
times.
Absolutely.
You could
Dude.
see his love for Evil Dead in that movie, though, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Sure.
at the very end, I was like, dude, that's straight up fucking Evil Dead, right
Ouija
there.
Origin
What's
of
he
Evil
doing?
fucking rocks.
Mhm.
That's a great,
Yeah.
fantastic movie.
Yeah. Saw X, that's another good one. Kind of.
Yes, Saw
It's a
X
prequel
was-
to
was
some
really
of the
well done.
sequels.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Saw person, but
Me neither.
like I really enjoyed Saw X. I
Yeah.
thought that I really appreciate that they gave more character to John Kramer,
I
and
don't know
that's
why it
how
took
I
them 10
want them to
movies to
keep
focus
going.
on him. It
Yeah.
made so much sense.
I hate The Conjuring, says Jimmy. I
think-
love the first one. I got in
Yeah.
the second one. I got to say the rest, it's very hit or miss.
What
Like,
sucks is like I feel like the name The Conjuring has kind of been tainted by how far the Conjuring universe has gone. Where like if you just look at like Conjuring 1 and I'll say Conjuring 2 as well, I think those are great fucking haunted house movies. Like they're
It goes
super
for the
fun.
classic horror vibe.
Yeah, it's just like you throw those on a Sunday afternoon, it is a great fucking time. Like those are some of my favorite just like straight up haunted house fun horror
love
movies.
Conjuring too.
Yeah, it's
I like.
fucking great.
I love The Conjuring too a
Yeah.
lot.
It's fantastic. I love that sequence when the dude's transforming behind her when they're doing the medium thing was fantastic. Like that movie's really, really good. I feel
My
like the
favorite
name.
part in that is in part 2 is when they're on the train and they're playing the tapes.
Yeah,
Help
it's,
me!
it's great.
Whoa! Oh, my god! So
no.
creepy.
Oh yeah, I remember
That shit is-
Hold on,
so
hold
good.
on a second. I need to interject here because folks, we've got Sam entering the chat right
Oh.
now.
Oh
So-
my
Sam.
god!
I'm done.
Looks like we're gonna have to face our
he's
fears
come
now.
to check out and see
Wait,
Ken.
Hold
And
Let's all do our review of Trick or Treat.
Dude, I could talk about trick or treat any day.
I have my son.
My son.
Yes. I don't know. Can you guys even hear me? I've committed to this bit.
I can hear you.
hard.
I have my
Yeah, we
son with
can hear
me.
you.
Yeah.
No, we cannot hear
No.
you. Take that fucking mask
Where
off.
do I-
How about that?
Come over,
Here,
Ken.
can
Come
you
to
go there?
Warren Valley, Ohio, and we're gonna do a marathon of trick or treat.
I gotta
the big one
admit,
is-
that
Go.
shocked me, and it was fucking awesome. That was fantastic.
Perfect. That was the desired effect. Now I got to take this off because it is so hot in here.
Yeah.
That's
I-
Sam.
Luke,
then
you
the
and I
little
both
one is
undressed
Sam.
within a minute of joining this podcast. I just
Yeah,
want to
dude,
make
I-
that very
I-
clear.
I do need to clarify. This was not planned. I had no idea he was doing this. So that was.
Guys, if you don't want to
totally-
see what Sam's face actually looks like, turn away.
he's not the little pumpkin boy. It's Luke.
He's actually got a beard
Looks
now.
like,
He's got a real
Very
Nice
job.
move, Sam.
Hey, I'm still from Ohio, so it works.
There
He
you
got
go.
shot in the head,
Over.
but he's still
True.
here. He's good.
O says commit to the bit and keep it
Ah.
on, Luke.
We'll do it
That was
last couple
great.
minutes because if you want to see me die of heat exhaustion, I mean, come on, we
Yeah.
could do
Jimmy
it.
says
That
The
was- that was
Conjuring is a
fantastic,
safe
Luke.
horror
Thank you. That
franchise
was
with
great.
Imitation.
No problem. I was listening and I was like, you know
No.
what? I had to go dig out my outfit here and put it on for you. Ken.
And he
Anything
would have
for
gotten
the-
away with it too if it wasn't for you.
I
Exactly.
literally was like, it's like Scooby Doo. It's like we have to
Yeah.
unmask him now. But yeah, no, I do want to mention this as well. Getting back to the prequel conversation, Paranormal Activity 2 is one I was about to bring up. I actually prefer Paranormal Activity 2 over the first one.
Hmm.
I think it's
I
a
talked
really
to Ken
fun
about
movie.
Paranormal Activity when I went on the show. We were
Yeah,
chatting
absolutely
about that a
did.
fair bit. Yeah.
Luke,
Yeah.
you are entering in. Can you throw any prequels out there, horror prequels that you think are really good or worthy, or however you want to spin it?
What did we talk about already?
A ton of stuff. So honestly,
Okay.
you might end up redoing.
don't
some
feel
of them. That's
pressured.
okay.
If you
Okay.
can't
Oh,
think of anything.
This is big pressure. Yeah, I can't think of anything offhand. Prequels.
All right, close this window.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay.
We're done.
That's not gonna-
Did you guys talked about Orphan? I'm assuming, or no?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was one
okay.
we got
did
brought up.
actually.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
one-
a good choice.
Yeah, that one surprised me because I went into it kind of like I don't even know how they're going to be able to do this, but it actually they put a creative spin on it because I was like, what can you really do more so than what we got with the original Orphan and that kind of hook? But then when I'm not going to spoil anything, but when we find out they add an element to that story, I was like, holy shit, they got me on this one because I was kind of uninvested up until that point, and then I was all in when they kind of laid out the cards on the table.
Yeah, we actually brought up that similar scenario with Final Destination 5. Ken brought that up. Ken
That's a good one.
Yeah. So they were both really, really nice twist in there. It's always nice when you don't know it's a prequel. One that I did want to mention just because it's something that is kind of near and dear to my heart. It's a little bit of like a guilty pleasure. I don't know how everybody's going to feel about these. I haven't brought them up before, but I think Underworld Rise of the Lycans is the best of that franchise. I don't know why. I just like when they went full medieval with the werewolves and the vampires. I thought that was great. So if I'm alone on an island there or just on the Underworld movies as a whole, I will take it.
I can't wax poetically about those, but I've seen them. I just don't know which one's which, to be honest.
You hit him with a good for you, buddy.
I feel validated. I love it. Alrighty. Well, we've talked about prequels. We've talked about My Bloody Valentine. Since Luke is here now, why don't we rip the Band-Aid off? Let's discuss. I know this wasn't in the show notes. This is a last minute addition there to Ken and Ashley, but In a Violent Nature. Obviously, we've all seen it.
Great.
We are all kind of in the same boat over here. You guys had a very differing opinion, so I want to give you the floor to kind of add a little bit of something fresh to the conversation here. Because
no spoilers,
obviously,
chat, by the way, don't worry.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah.
But also, the big portion of this that I want to talk about is just how it made $2 million over the weekend and did really well. It came in number 8, which is like awesome for such a small film. With not such, it had a good release, but not like an all-time, like theatrical Furiosa style release. And it got a lot of people talking, and I was kind of following it today, thinking about making a video about it, but I figured this would be the best time to do it. I want to talk about how it seems like with so many movies failing at the box office this summer and so many things just not hitting, horror still seems to be the constant trend that is always making money, is always succeeding at the box office. Not always, because we have things like Abigail, but it seems to be that trend. And is there anything that these bigger movies could learn from what they're doing with like independent horror right now? So I'll throw it first to Ashley and Ken with that one. Let the audience know a little bit of just your general thoughts on In a Violent Nature, and then kind of we'll move into that.
No pressure.
I think, I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I was bored with this movie. Like, I'm a pretty big slasher fan, and I just felt like it lacked when it was almost like a parody, I guess, to me.
We felt like, and this again is not an insult to people that like elevated horror.
Yeah.
Because we do. But this felt like somebody that loves elevated horror
that
wanted
was like
to make
making
fun of slashers.
Without, like you didn't have tension. You didn't.
This to me felt 3 beats off from being a scary movie, honestly. Even with one of the comedic kills being comedically overkill. And again, I'm not
literally
gonna spoil
giggled.
anything.
Yes, I literally looked at him and giggled at one of them that it seemed like it was a forever kill.
Right. But like, especially when you have a movie like Scary Movie and they make fun of like the tropes of the horror genre, all the walking, all the stuff like that. Like this felt to me like somebody that was into elevated horror wanted to be like, I'm going to show.
Slashers are dumb.
I'm going to show people how dumb slashers are, and they're still going to eat it up and they're going to love it because that's how dumb they are. And I think the last 10 minutes of this movie were the best part of the movie. I thought the last 10 minutes was phenomenal. I don't like the actual ending.
Yeah.
But
and if you're tired, like
the kills in this movie are one of the kills in this movie may be in my top 3 favorite kills of all time. Like
That's
of all
amazing,
time.
Yeah.
And I think that, the actors, I think they did a great job. I think they were trying their hardest to be loved, but it's kind of hard when you have absolutely zero character development for obvious reasons.
Right.
But again, I respect and love the fact that someone tried to do something different in a genre that has not had anything different happen really since 1974. But they took a huge shot with this movie and tried to do something different. And for me and Ashley, it didn't work. I hope it worked for other people.
I do see a lot of like positive, a lot of people liking it. So it was just not for us.
And that's good. Like I said, even though we don't like it, we want people to like it. Somebody is out there creating art, and I don't want to shit on that. it just wasn't for us. I'm not a fan of. I don't want to say it 'cause it's a spoiler, but a lot of this movie felt like I was playing a video game.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in control.
I mean, I think that people know like the basis of what the movie is, but
it felt like I was watching
you said
demo, like
I think you're fine there.
a walkthrough demo of a video game without being able to play is how I felt. I was like, just let me control it and I'll have more fun.
It'd be cool to have Jake here right now because it's his favorite movie of the year so far.
Just have the two sides there.
Jake.
But anyway, before I let these guys off, now that that's out in the open, let's start bullying Ashley and Ken. That's the whole reason we brought you on here. We just wanted to dogpile you.
I will suck the shit out of. I was kidding. Can I say something real quick though?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think everything that you said is totally valid.
Yeah, I mean,
and I can see that from someone's perspective. I never considered the last bit that you said about feeling like you weren't in control because you want to be in like you feel like you're a part of the movie in that way.
yeah.
And I think some people just have different reactions in that department probably. So that's totally fair.
Yeah,
definitely.
and I think that overall this was, we knew because we got screeners for it, so we saw it like a couple weeks before everybody else got to like experience it. So we knew, just talking in our circle, this was going to be a very divisive movie.
I don't think we expected it to be as divisive as it's turned out.
I didn't either.
As it got closer, I was really starting to lean into, I think there's going to be a lot of hate, but yeah, I've seen some passionate people in our comment sections who are just like, no, you guys are absolutely insane. Like, this is one of the worst movies ever. And, it's like, I expected it, but it's one of those things too, where it's just kind of like, wow, this is, there's a lot. But I also appreciate the fact that even though it was divisive and even though people have, put their stance on it, I still see a lot of people who are like, I gotta go see this thing for myself. I gotta see if this is
how it should be.
Which you
Yes.
should.
Right.
Too many people have been like, oh, this is bad, and too many people have said, oh, this is like a game changer. And I think, like, not to speak for everybody here, but the consensus from the four of us has mostly been very positive. I think we really liked the the unique take, and strangely enough, I think the part we all kind of agree on is we thought that the ending was kind of weak. So seeing folks from the other side of it, where they're like, the ending had the most tension and was pretty cool. Yeah. It's just so interesting to see how this movie is just like affecting horror fans across the board in
very
different
split
spots.
down the middle here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Luke, I do want to see the actual ending sucks to me.
Yeah. But just like,
But that last 10 minutes before, okay, let's say the last 9 minutes and 48 seconds are phenomenal to me. I was on literally the only time I was like on the edge of my seat. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't say phenomenal, but
I would.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Hanging on every word, pretty much. Like,
yes.
Yeah. You know what? By the way, just to point this out for those of you, and we're not spoiling anything. Don't worry. I promise. I'm going to be very vague. But the director said that those last 10 minutes are exactly what the film's about. And there are some theories about what that was that might be homage to something.
Yeah.
So,
I did see something about that today, and I'm very curious.
He won't say. He said he will never tell anybody. So
we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I wanted to point this out. O says all this fence sitting is reminding me of Splatman's obligations
We're
to
just
Big
being
Pooh.
reasonable, man.
Just so Ashley and Ken are aware, I have been vitriolically defending Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So, like, everybody's kind of known that
you're
for a while. I'm a shill, so I have obligations to Big Pooh, as that's what we call it. So I'm in Big Pooh's pockets.
Now, Luke, you got to say something.
Yeah, Luke, I need to know, just like kind of kick us off into the second half of this question here with, what do you think the box office, or as far as large films like Furiosa and other big studios, could learn from the success of horror films? Because it's not just in a violent nature. I mean, Strangers, not a very big budgeted film, but it's unfortunate to say that it's climbing the box office. It's claiming things left and right. But also Late Night with the Devil from just this past spring was IFC's highest grossing film. So it's like, that's awesome to see. So how are you feeling about all this? And what do you think they could learn?
Looking into it, screenwriting and, trying to make short films, I've always been on the side of, I think, limited budgets breed creativity because you're working within those boundaries. When you have an infinite budget and the possibilities are endless, sometimes you lose that intimacy, and I think the world just feels so big. And I think maybe some people lose that in terms of the storytelling. Like I went and saw The Fall Guy, which is pretty notoriously for the box office, knowing that it has been a pretty big flop. And I did enjoy my time with that, but it's one of those really disposable big action comedy flicks that something like, when comparing it, even though they're different genres, to like something like Late Night with the Devil or stop motion, where you have this intimate storytelling. I think with that you lose something when you cross over into that big budget, and of course it's hard to make that budget back when you're dealing with millions upon millions of dollars, where small time horror is just scraping by with $500,000 or $1 million, which goes a longer way in the horror genre, especially with that smaller storytelling. So I think a lot of people, especially with streaming and things popping up on Shudder, things popping up on Screenbox, I think there is a better avenue for that smaller horror and those stories to be told, because there weren't those avenues 10 years ago for that storytelling. You would just randomly pop up on DVD, and hopefully you're at a used media store and you see it on the shelf and it interests you, or you're scrolling Amazon, you see something that intrigues you. But now you can pop on Shudder, you can pop on Screenbox, and you see something interesting. I think What Frogman's going to be up there, and I'm excited to see what people are going to do, or to actually see that one. And a lot of people were able to see stop motion because of Shudder. So I think when you put these bigger budgeted films in the box office or in the theater, and maybe a lot of people aren't necessarily interested in going to the theater, it's harder to make that big budget back. So I think maybe those big budgeted films are losing confidence. I think wasn't there going to be another film after Furiosa, but now it's kind of they're putting the brakes on it right now because of the low performance. So I think it's going to be a harder avenue for those big budgeted films to keep getting made, because it's harder to make those budgets back. So I think with that smaller time horror storytelling, it's just you have that intimate factor, and I think that's what a lot of people are resonating with right now.
Hopefully they don't just try to mimic it, though, and actually put the heart in it.
I think that a lot of it too is like, if I didn't know Furiosa was going to be streaming on Max in a month, I might have gone and seen it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. Like when we were young, if a movie was out in cinema, that shit was not coming out for 6 months.
Yeah, and The Fall Guy's already, like, you can buy that on Vudu right now. So some
exactly. We talked about how these big budget movies are failing, but horror is more of a niche audience, and we hate saying that because we're all such big horror fans, but we want to see it first because we want to be able to put our reviews out. We want to be able to watch our friends' reviews. So we want to be able to see the movie before we go and watch some of our friends do their reviews on it. And it really is not an entertainment for us. It's a lifestyle. And I'm not trying to be fucking corny and all that, but it is. Like, horror is a big part of all of our lives.
You know that some people just watch horror for fun, though?
Idiots.
Did you know that?
Idiots.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I know. It's crazy.
Fucking sickos. But for us, like, it really
costume.
Right.
This is my uniform.
It really is. It's a lifestyle for us, and it's something that we eat, we sleep, we breathe. Me and Ashley's first date was a horror movie. We would see War of the Worlds 2005 together. Like, that was our very first
good movie.
Nice.
And
that's how you knew she was a keeper. Because
dude, actually, I knew she was a keeper when we got back to her house and she had a "People Under the Stairs" poster. I was like, "Oh, I'm marrying this."
Luke's happy.
Luke's loving that.
Like, you done fucked up. You got like 60 years to spend with this guy. But yeah, so for me, horror is always going to be dominant in the box office because the people that love it are so passionate about it that
horror fans just are awesome.
Yeah, we're a different breed.
Yeah,
like, we really are.
We're built different.
We built different. No,
very true.
So
D-Nice 9000.
I was about to say I'm going to pass it off to Evan.
I was just having
a
talk with him before we came on live, and he just donated $20 to you.
That's insane. Thank you, D-Nice. That is incredible, man. Thank you so much. If you have any comments, questions, topics, feel free to throw it in there. We will entertain that for a bit. Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Voting power right now.
Evan, I need to know, how are you feeling about the box office up here? You might have a slightly different perspective being in a different country, so I don't know like what your theaters are like, anything up there, like how they're kind of set up, because right now for us it seems like it's a lot of these smaller movies like In a Violent Nature and other things. I don't know for all of us, but at least here in Ohio we have to drive like 40 minutes if we're going to go see this thing on the big screen, so it's not like a hop, skip, and a jump for us. So I'm wondering what it's like for you.
So usually for movies like In a Violent Nature, but honestly even for Abigail, I'm having to go quite out of my way for it.
Wow.
Not like super far. Actually, Abigail might have just been because I couldn't make a showtime at a theater that was closer to me. It might have been a work conflict at the time. But I know that for like In a Violent Nature, for example, there's one theater that's playing it. It is about... Oh, come on, guys.
Come on, man.
Oh, very kind of you.
Thank you. I'm going to send that back to you.
How did you do that? I don't even see it.
It was Ken on his phone.
Yeah, that wasn't me. That was
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I need a little uplift, so I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so the
Love
theater
it.
that I have to go to is about 20 minutes away, so it's not like a huge issue for me. But then when you go to it, it is like the theater that's tucked away in the back. And it, it's like gross when you go back there. It's just the one that they don't give a shit about, and they just throw the random movies in there. So I think that what we're seeing right now is a couple things. And one of the big ones is that a huge part of really big studio productions, because they put so much money into these movies now, they want them to appeal to every single person. And when you try to make a piece of art that appeals to everyone, it appeals to no one.
Right.
And it was working for a while because they were these giant blockbusters that people were excited to see, and the effects were amazing, and the cast were crazy. But there's been hundreds of these movies that have come out now that are these super high budget, high octane, crazy stacked cast movies that were exciting, but they're very formulaic, and they don't provide much in the way of like thought when you leave the theater. What people, I think, are thirsting for now is movies that are smaller scale and more intimate, and also more directed. And part of the reason that horror is doing so well is because, as Ken was saying, horror is a very niche thing, and horror fans are fucking rabid. We will go out to the theater to see things. Horror fans are almost single-handedly keeping the physical media industry alive right now.
Yeah.
Horror and anime. I'm not into anime myself, but horror and anime fans are the
people
two
that love
biggest
anime are
communities.
just like us, man. It may not be for me.
There's a lot of crossover
Love and
between
respect
those
them,
two.
man. They go all
Absolutely.
out for what they love.
Absolutely, it's 100% true.
Anytime you see one of those like what is it, Demon Slayer movies comes into theaters, like, dude, it's sold out all
It's
weekend
huge.
long.
It's
Naruto, any of those.
Yeah,
stuff.
my best friend's super into it, so I'm seeing this stuff all the time. Like, it's these very directed projects now that people are resonating more with, because there's actually a reason to go see it. There's the possibility that you're going to see something you haven't seen before. Whereas when we see these really big budget movies, we know what to expect now, because they're all formulaic and they're all trying to appeal to every single person. And in the process, they're appealing to no one. So I think that's a big part of what we're seeing right now. And I think it's actually quite a good thing, because it's going to show studios that you can't just dump money into something and have it work out. You need to actually create something that people are going to find compelling and resonate with, and walk away from feeling like they want to tell people to go see it, and then they want to rewatch it, and they want to pick up the Blu-ray so that they can watch bonus features to find out how the thing was fucking made.
Well, and also... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying, like, we need movies with intrigue. We need things that people are going to want to know more about after they see it. When you watch a lot of these really big movies, you see it, and then there's nothing else to get out of them. I think that the intimacy of movies is something that the studios are going to have to start acknowledging more than they have been for a while. And I don't want to sound like the studios, because there's a lot of great like studio movies. I'm not saying that this is like blanket across the board the case, because movies like Oppenheimer I thought were fucking stellar. Like there are still these big budget movies with crazy casts that are doing well, but that was a very character-centric movie. We're still dealing with a bit more of an intimate material than we are with a lot of these other projects. I'm going on for so long. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. I was just gonna say before I throw it over to Alex for his point was, speaking on that, yeah, I saw Apes, I saw Furiosa. Both films aren't doing great at the box office. Both are really good. They're really great movies. Like Furiosa.
So I've heard. I want to see it.
One of the few films that I would say deserves the title of an Odyssey or an epic. Like it is Oppenheimer level of just like care and storytelling, in my opinion. But Alex, what were you going to say there, real quick?
I mean, the gist was just kind of like, there's a lot of reasons I think why some of it isn't working, why some of it is. It's just there's just a lot of change, a lot of shift to the living room, and because of the whole, the big P word, during the past 2 years or whatever that we can't say on here because then, I think a lot of that really changed the whole dynamic of movie watching for a lot of people, and it kind of made people realize that, I don't know. I think we're also dealing with a group of people who are making movies now who are at a particular age where they're mimicking this stuff from the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. So there's this weird kind of fight for what that is, and some people who are younger don't get it, and some that are older do, and everything's kind of changing over and turning over so quickly. I don't think everybody really has the real feeling, but yes,
Praise
I
be to
agree
Robert
that
Eggers.
I think definitely having a little bit more like vibe about a movie and stuff like that is good, but some people really miss just getting down dirty, bloody, and being stupid.
Of course.
So
But like that's still more like directed at a specific audience than a lot of what's being made now. And I think that's the big thing, is that things just aren't being directed at people. They're kind of just being like thrown out like everybody, and it doesn't work.
The last piece I want to land on this, and then I want to go to some of the audience here, and then we'll move on to the next topic, is Ken brought up release windows. I think that is a huge reason why people are not showing up to the theater anymore like they used to, because like Luke and I do it all the time. My dad and I do it all the time, where it's like, oh man, I just don't know if I'm going to have time this week or the money this week to go see this. It's like I got a busy life. I got all this other stuff going on, but it's going to be on HBO in like 2 months. It's going to be on, whatever, Vudu in 2 weeks. It's like, there's not enough incentive for me to really have that urgency to go. I mean, one of the best examples to have this conversation right now that I can pull out is Godzilla -1. At least I think it was maybe here in the States. I don't know if it was in Canada, Evan, but hit streaming this week. That movie came out in December. People were going crazy to watch that thing again this weekend. I saw so many posts and so many videos just talking about Godzilla -1 again. And it's like, it's not a bad idea, especially for tentpole movies, big ones. Let them sit. Let them go for a while. Let word of mouth carry it.
Because
bring
then
it
people
back
are
to
going
how
to be
it was.
less. You're going to make more money in the box office, because you do have to adjust for streaming too, because they do get their streaming money. So when we do these big movies, we should adjust for streaming costs too. But man, like, let a movie simmer for a little bit. And you're
like, think about Abigail.
Make people want.
Well, they did the same thing with that Von Erich movie.
Oh,
The
Iron
Claw.
Claw. They buried it. It was so it's a great film, and they buried it. I don't understand.
One of the best movies of the last 10 years. Like, when it comes to
it
being
was fantastic.
Everything about that movie was so good.
I feel like, that the space between, like, from theater to the thing, I don't think it's always a hindrance for stuff like that. I think things just blow up differently nowadays. People get their virality of things, and it's like, and it gets like talked about really quick. All of a sudden people want to go see it, and it's just like energetic, and everybody's like, go, 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 go. And then it just blows up. And not everything does, because like When Evil Lurks got kind of a buzz, and nobody went to the theater to see that. You know what I mean? So when it hit streaming, it blew up. So in a way, it kind of works for some things.
For some things, for sure. But like, I seriously think that Abigail got like shafted so hard with that, where it's like it had a rough start, but horror fans and even people who weren't horror fans, just general moviegoers, were like, this is one of the like most fun, best campy vampire films we've had in a long time. And like they literally like punted it on streaming after it had been in theaters for 2.5 weeks. It's like, what is that? Like, you're not just
Yeah,
gonna
that's
let this thing
wild.
sit and get some
Lisa
legs. Like,
Frankenstein too.
Yeah.
yeah, Lisa Frankenstein, another great one that could have
Same
had
shit.
legs because people love it now that it's like on Blu-ray and stuff. So many people are picking it up.
I need to pick.
Yeah,
it up.
now we're
that.
getting the
The
Blu-rays.
minute we walked out of the theater, she was like, "This is a cult classic." She's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
people are going to look back in 10 years and be like, "Why the fuck didn't I go watch this in the movie theater?"
Mhm.
Yeah, Luke and I, we got the Blu-ray sent to us, so we were late adopters to that, but we enjoyed it. I mean, that was
It's a
definitely
great
one that,
film.
yeah, it's
I need
a
to
lot
see
of
it.
fun. It's one that like I'm excited to like when my son's a little bit older, it'll be like when he's probably like 10, 11, you know, that'll be such a fun one, like that Beetlejuice kind of vibe to throw
Yes.
on and like
Absolutely.
really just be like, it's got all the zaniness of it.
Mhm.
Whose daughter was it that did it?
Robin
Robin
Williams,
Williams.
Zelda Williams.
That's right. Okay.
Mhm.
Want to hit
She has a
some of
nice
these real
tribute to
quick.
her dad too in that
Right.
movie.
Okay.
I wanna
I
hit
still
some
haven't
of
seen it
these,
yet. I just haven't had
yeah.
a chance.
questions here. So yeah, this is my father for Ashley and Ken, who probably don't know. He's a huge supporter of the channels. He likes all you guys. I think it not having a score was something that threw people. Imagine watching Friday the 13th or Halloween without score, and this is in obviously reference to In a Violent Nature. So yeah, that was something that obviously you guys brought up being an issue. So it's like
Yeah.
it's something that you know, as much of like fans of score as we are. I mean, Evan does wonderful breakdowns of it in all his videos.
I do want to.
Strangely enough,
yeah.
it was like something we were okay with, but I totally see it removing tension and like it being an issue for folks. Then we have Is In a Violent Nature coming to streaming soon? Yes, it'll be on Shudder. Looks like they're about 3 months, 90 days or so after the theatrical release, because stop motion just got on there this past weekend. So you know, we're looking, and that was what, late February, early March.
Yeah.
Well, this was an
Something like that,
IFC Shutter release.
Yeah.
They tend to do it about 3 to 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of depends, I think, on the deal. So Necro says, my local theater has 3 screens, and one of them is usually a Christian film. There was a 6th screen like 20 minutes away, but it went out of business. So I'm not supporting more. I'd be supporting more horror if I could. Yeah, and that's another thing.
We had to drive an hour and 20 minutes one way to go see In a Violent Nature.
Mhm.
So that was 2 hours and 40 minutes on top of the movie that we will never get back.
Oh my God. I could see that being a much more frustrating experience then, yeah, because
Yeah.
like one that Luke and I wanted to see was, I saw the TV Glow, but dude, where was that even showing? Like, wasn't that like
nowhere? The closest to us for that one was like seriously 4.5 hours.
Which
Oh my
movie?
God. I saw the TV Glow.
Is that still in theaters?
They're treating it like an art house
I might
picture,
go
you
see
know,
that.
like they used to back in the days, like when.
Yeah, it just
You
popped
know.
up in our little art house theater. They're showing.
Oh,
it
is
now.
it at the Nightlight now?
Nightlight, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's
See
not
how
too
far I would
far,
have to
but it's
drove
been
for
out
that
for
drive
weeks.
for
Yeah, it
so
just
it's like-
popped up, and it's like I didn't even know they were showing it. There was
It's like
Yeah.
Requiem
Drive
for
about
Dream came out to a
15
few
minutes.
theaters, and everybody went, you know, didn't get to see that until it released on DVD. So
How far did you say, Evan?
That would only be like a 15-minute drive for me. There's a theater super close to me playing.
Yeah,
outside the
so I
TV
mean,
film.
it's
I might
not,
go
it
do
seems
that.
like it's all over the place depending on where you live, and that's the other thing that kind of sucks about all this. But Cynthia says, In a Violent Nature feels like an experiment. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I understand, it doesn't seem like it's trying to be condescending to slasher audience. It's just what it is.
Chris Nash
And
is a huge slasher fan.
He
He's
is
a
a big
nerd
slasher
for
fan.
these
I
movies.
think like I definitely can see where some people think that it's like not like just trying to deconstruct slashers for the sake of deconstructing slashers.
totally good, yeah.
But like I really think that it's offering those of us who are like wanting to see kind of a film from that perspective. I think it offers a very interesting and unique perspective on a slasher, on a Jason formula in a sense. But yeah, I mean, with that, you're always going to have your people who are on one side and people who are on the other. So
yeah, it was, I mean, it was bound to be divisive, and there's no way they didn't know that while they were making it. So
Sometimes you got to swing for the fences, like you said. If you're
Yeah.
not trying to do something different, then you're not doing anything.
it's true.
So, but
Sledgehammer Horror says the dudes are okay, but damn, that Ashley lady is fire. So there you go. I guess that's we'll just get put in our place. You know, I know where I belong. And
it's fine.
Artie Pavlov says, tucked in the back, come to DC or New York. They always show horror on the big screens. Yeah, I mean, I love hearing that. That definitely makes me happy to see that. You know,
definitely won't fly to New York to see a movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that far for you, is it? How far?
Well,
how
I'm
far
still
is New York?
buying a plane ticket.
It's just a walk, right? Evan?
It's just
Just
a
a
walk.
walk. It's like a 15-minute walk.
Yeah, but come on. How big of a horror fan are you? I'm just kidding.
Hey, depending on the movie, there are 1 or 2 movies that I can think of that I would do that for. But
That's true.
feels-
Nosferatu.
Cynthia says
definitely,
feels soulless.
yeah, no, that certainly wasn't one of the ones I was thinking of.
I don't mind indie drama horror, but I love just fun stuff too. Just like substance. So, you know, that's totally fair. And I think like that's the kind of the balance we need. Not to go too deep into this conversation again, but like, yeah, dude, we seriously need like the mid-range budget film to come back. We got to stop spending 200 to 400 million on these giant films that are doing nothing. And then
people that need food or something, and then make a better movie.
What's up, Troy?
Troy's popping in here with a $5 dono. Thank you, Troy. No argument there. What's up, everybody? Nice to find the channel. Good decision so far. Thank you, Troy. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the donation. And yeah, let's get
Troy's
a little
man.
bit caught up. Yeah, I mean, like I said, whenever I interact with you guys, we always get like awesome new people who pop
Hell
up
yeah.
into the streams and the chats and stuff. So happy to have you. If you feel like sticking around, we're glad you're here. I got really far behind on the chat, so I'm just gonna kind of bump to the next one, and I'll kind of go through as we're going through this next story. But
Okay.
I want to throw this off to Evan, if you want to mind taking the reins on this.
know
Let's
what
talk
this
about
is.
Bill Skarsgård. We'll start with the Nosferatu stuff because it's a little smaller, and then we'll talk Welcome to Derry.
Yes, there's lots of Bill Skarsgård news right now, which is great. I am so in on him right now. Like I've just been loving everything he's doing. When I saw him in Barbarian, I thought he was just absolutely fantastic in that movie. And I'm glad that he's getting to play more horror characters. And he's definitely more than just Pennywise. He's very versatile. One of his big upcoming roles is my most anticipated movie in many, many, many years from my favorite director. And that's he's playing Count Orlok in the Nosferatu remake. And we just got a new interview from him where Skarsgård sounds more excited about this role than like any movie he's done in a while. He is talking this thing up like crazy, and I don't know how much more excited I can get, but reading this article, like my heart was racing. It's one of those things where it's like everything he's saying here is so in line with what I wanted to hear about the movie, and it's really cool to hear that Eggers is kind of getting to spread his wings a little bit, and they're talking about being yeah, you giggling bastard.
Spread your wings, eh?
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see Nosferatu's finally starting to make it. You know, going from a SpongeBob episode, he's finally getting his own movie.
It's true. He's finally getting the recognition.
It's nice to see
he
he's
deserves,
finally
yeah.
getting the credit he deserves.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a number of really exciting things that he talked about in this interview. Two of the big things that really stood out to me is just how much it's being emphasized that like Skarsgård is essentially vanishing into this role, where people on set are not realizing that it's him, or you know they're very much emphasizing that like you're not going to see Bill Skarsgård, you're going to see Count Orlok, which is very exciting. Yeah, very much so. He was working with an opera singer to bring his speaking voice down to its lowest possible register for the role as well. So he's been doing some vocal training to get to that point. They were also talking about, direct quote here, he's gross, but it is very sexualized. It's playing with a sexual fetish about the power of the monster and what that appeals have to you. Hopefully you'll get a little bit attracted by it and disgusted by your attraction at the same time, which sounds very much in line with the spirit of Dracula and Nosferatu in general, like the story of Dracula, which definitely has a lot of sexual undertones, if you want to call it that.
That was like a direct quote from Ashley after our first date. It was oddly sexual, but super gross at the same time. I don't know what is going on with that.
Jesus Christ, I love that.
Well,
it's so romantic.
You know, it's this romance for you.
It's romance.
19 years later, my grossness is still paying off. So,
Aww.
There you
What
go.
about you, Luke? What do you think?
Dylan, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna pass it off and say whoever, but Alex beat me to the punch. So Luke, how you feeling?
Yeah, I was gonna say Luke. Yeah,
I hate it. No, you know, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see. I read the article, and looking at it, Evan covered it, where it's like, when you deal in the vampire stories more so than any other kind of, werewolves, anything like that, there's this kind of sexual undertone. So I'm intrigued to see, how they're going to portray that on screen. Bill Skarsgård, I mean, in terms of being an actor, is just on another level. So, as soon as they casted him, I had complete confidence that he was going to, bring something special to the role. And, as he said, I think he was quoted with saying, he had, it took him a while to get the demon out of him after, filming. And, we've seen that stuff with like, Heath Ledger and the Joker, and, how you kind of lose yourself in that role. Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to.
You want to never let it go. You own it.
And that's where it's like, I could see this sticking with him, in terms of just, having trouble shaking this thing just because of, how deep you have to go in those tones. I mean, like, Nosferatu was, what was that, 1922 or something? And so we haven't seen anything like this portrayal in 100 years. So, it's going to be something that I'm excited for, because I think it's going to, we've had some great vampire flicks, recently, I would say, but,
they're
I think
often
this
more
is
lighthearted.
Yes, and a little more playful. I think this one's going to bring gravitas back to, a vampire story, and I'm really excited. I don't really have too much to say on it, because I've just, I'm excited, but that's really all I can go with.
We should talk about Welcome to Derry as well.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to throw it over to Ashley and Ken real quick for their thoughts on Nosferatu, and then we can dive right in there.
I'm excited to see the hash-slinging slasher, coming back to life.
Hash-slinging slasher.
Getting his role back on the big screen. And, we're talking about Bill Skarsgård and what he's able to do. I thought that, like, it's funny with Skarsgård, because, like, I saw it chapter 1 and 2, and I was like, all right, yeah, this guy killed it. And then I saw Barbarian, and I was like, oh man, this guy killed it. And then you see Boy Kills World, and then you got The Crow, Nosferatu, Welcome to Derry, all these different things coming out that Bill Skarsgård is just like, when you think that he's hitting that plateau, he goes higher, and then you're like, okay, well, now he's here, and then he goes higher.
He just has that like range and like that face, like to be like a creepy.
I'd kiss it.
Works.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not a bad looking face.
Hold on, I can say it because it's a joke. You can't say that.
I can say it.
You are spoken. You are spoken for me. I'd let you kiss it. That'd be a beautiful sight. That's just art. You and Bill Skarsgård kissing would be like a mural.
Are you guys fans of Edgar's work?
The minute that you think that this kid can't do anything better, you see the next thing he has coming, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what he does in this.
And he's got such great range too. Like, he can be a creepy clown. He can be this.
And Barbarian, even though he was throwing off every red flag possible,
you still like the guy.
Yeah, you wanted to root for him. You're like, he's got to be a good guy. He's got to be good.
He's more accessible and likable than I think someone like Robert Pattinson, unfortunately. So it's just one of those things.
Sure.
So I love what we're getting from Skarsgård. I love the fact he's reprising his role in Welcome to Derry. I think that from what I read, he was kind of pissed.
Like, he wanted it to be more of a surprise.
Yeah. Wanted it to be on a hush hush, and then somebody had already leaked it out. So he was just like, fuck.
Well, that's out now. Yeah.
Because at first people were asking him, and he was like, I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure yet what's going on with it. He wanted it to be more of a surprise, and then obviously it got leaked out because being first is more important than having respect for people and
art.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so he was bummed, but good for you, dude. Like, I'm glad that you took the role so seriously, and I'm glad that you still love the role so much. I'm hoping we can get some of the Skarsgård that we saw as Pennywise in It Chapter 2 in the human form, like when he scratches his face.
Yes,
like, I hope we can get some of that in Welcome to Derry.
I'm excited about Welcome to Derry. It's kind of cool. I'm just realizing this now, like connecting the dots that Skarsgård is getting involved with two of my favorite things right now, because Eggers and Stephen King's It is my favorite novel. one of the I like the adaptations. I don't think that either of them, like the original miniseries or the new duology that they did, really capture the things that I love about that story. But one of the issues that I had was that they weren't diving as much into the history of the town of Derry that I wanted to see, because the book has it's like a fucking history novel on that town. They'll go for like 100 pages and just diverge from the main story and tell this unrelated anecdote from the 60s that ties into the story at the very end. There's such rich history there, and I'm excited to see that they're diving into that, and I'm very glad that Skarsgård is back. It is interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I go ahead and finish, and then I wanted to pass it over to Alex because I wanted to hear his thoughts on both.
It's interesting too, because I've always, one of the things with the adaptations that they very much latched on to Pennywise the dancing clown, which is just one form that this entity takes, and it's not something that's like more prevalent in the book than any of the other forms that it takes. If anything, it's one of the less common shapes that this thing will take on. So I've always found it interesting that they really heavily focus on Pennywise the dancing clown, and I doubt this will happen because it's such like a defining quality of the movies now, and it's what people know them for. I would like to see if they could kind of take advantage of the other forms and some of the more defining characteristics about it than just
I'm
Pennywise.
sure they might show it hop a little bit like they do in the story, because like I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's its insignificance that it finds like it likes about it. Do they describe it in there, or
what do you mean about Pennywise?
Yeah.
Well, the thing, like,
maybe his fear was more delicious.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have a proclivity to any of the one forms. If anything, it takes the teen wolf more than it takes Pennywise.
Okay.
The only reason that it took Pennywise was because one of the characters was afraid of clowns.
Gotcha.
It's not like Pennywise. It in the book is not a clown, and it's not like usually coming up as a clown and fucking with people as a clown. It's basically always something different.
Right,
but the adaptations just kind of latched on to that one thing, probably because it was the easiest to do. But I want to see a lot more of the other forms that this thing takes, even though I don't know how likely that is, since it's become iconic at this point.
I think it's honestly, like, I'm not trying to interrupt because I want to hear Alex's thoughts too. I think it's a lot more likely now that it's going to be a Max series.
I hope so. It's
rather than in a movie where you got to kind of condense it. Maybe now that we have hopefully a 10 episodic run, we get 10 hours
rush it.
Material.
There's some cool tie-ins too. Like I was telling the guys the other night on stream, Dick Halloran from The Shining is in the novel, and I think it would be really cool to like kind of get into
crossover.
that. Yeah, to have that crossover, because he's a character in the book in one of the historical flashbacks.
That seems like something they would do.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, this is like nerd brain, but imagine if they got the same guy to play him who played him in Doctor Sleep, and then they could tie that together.
Oh yeah,
it could be so good, man.
That would be a great idea, and I don't think they're too far from doing it, because it's not like Flanagan owns the dude or anything.
For them to do that. And also, even if Flanagan did own it, he would let them do that in a fucking heartbeat.
Right, just for the sake of horror, probably. Yeah. As far as Nosferatu goes, I am like, I'm not excited about it. I'm definitely going to see it. I'm hoping that this will be the movie that makes me a fan of him more. I don't disrespect or hate Eggers in general. I like Bill Skarsgård. I've seen him in a ton of stuff. Wasn't he in that werewolf show or whatever?
Yeah, Cynthia just mentioned it. I had it pinned here, but Hemlock Grove was something. That's one of the first things.
His brother, right? Isn't his brother in that too, or something?
I don't know if his brother was in that, but I think you're thinking.
I remember.
I think he was in True Blood.
I might be getting confused with something, but either way, I like Bill. I just think that I don't know. His Edgar's movies are not something that I look forward to, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that this will be a little bit different.
I'm blocking
and I couldn't think of a better director to do a silent film, sort of, like a homaging or bring it to the future in modern day than him. Like, it just makes sense. Yeah. Like, there's nothing you could say that any other director could do other than people who are already past their prime that could do it, in my opinion. So
we have a couple.
I just thought Alex was like, I like Bill. Whatever,
Bill's a good guy.
Like you went to high school with him. I like Bill.
He's my cousin. I don't know if they told you.
Yeah.
I'm just
There are
kidding.
a couple directors right now who I feel like are making projects that are such a good fit for them. With like Eggers,
Right.
to me, is the perfect pick for Nosferatu, and I'm not just saying that because he's my favorite director. I think that he's genuinely the perfect pick for that.
Absolutely.
Luke, I think that Flanagan is perfect for The Exorcist. And then I just remembered, I was like, oh yeah, Guillermo del Toro is doing Frankenstein, which is also fucking perfect.
Yeah, I
So we're
totally
getting
forgot
Eggers
about
Nosferatu, Flanagan Exorcist, and Del Toro Frankenstein, which just it fucking music to my ears, man.
that. And let's
Absolutely.
I know it's Blumhouse, and then I want to toss it to Luke real quick, but we are getting Wolfman, and
And Lee
it is
Whannell's
a
great
competent
for that.
director. His name is slipping me right now for some reason because I'm exhausted. But he did The Invisible Man, Lee
Whannell.
Whannell.
Lee Whannell.
So
Yeah.
like great director.
fit.
So
Yeah.
it could work. It could work out. It's already been pushed back once, but it could work out.
Invisible Man was great.
Yep. Luke,
Yeah.
real quick thoughts on Welcome to Derry, and then actually the chat has been blowing up and slightly arguing about The Crow.
I
And
saw
since
that,
it has something to do with Bill Skarsgård, I figured you'd be the perfect person to take us away on that.
Oh, sure. Opening up that world of Derry and just the novel of it, I think is rather interesting because, when we just had the miniseries out there, I think people were clamoring for, we either want to see Return of Pennywise in it or, just open up that world because that is such a, from a novel perspective, that is a hefty read. So there is a lot of material there. So I'm intrigued.
Have any of you guys read it?
No, I have not.
No, I'm not a fucking nerd.
Jeez, wow.
He has a hard time sounding things out.
Yeah. Unless the pictures pop up at me,
Yeah.
I'm very uninterested.
That's terrible.
I love that.
But I think the episodic storytelling leaves the door open to really get granular with everything. I don't know what their intention is in terms of if this is running for multiple seasons or how they're going to tackle that. But
There's multiple seasons worth of material.
yeah, and so I don't know what their plan is, but I think you could have an endless amount of storytelling here and even open up the world for some creative liberties in terms of what they want to, because whatever they want to do, because the world of it in Pennywise is so vast. You can really do anything in tell any sort of story. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. From all the information that they've been giving us, it's got me excited. So I'm excited for that one. And then, pivoting to The Crow, I'm not really excited for that one. I just, I've seen the trailer. It just had a different vibe for me. And, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of retelling the Eric Draven story. I'm a huge fan of the Brandon Lee Crow, and when you have multiple different crows out there and material, I think you can dive into something different. I spoke with Dylan about this. There's a character that appears not to a vast extent, but I believe his name's Marcus Greaves, and I think if you want to take an interesting stab at really telling a different kind of story with a different vibe, I think that would be the one that I would zero in on.
Yep.
But I don't know what they're going to bring with this one. It doesn't have me sold on the trailer or any of the images. Jury's out for me. I'm going to go see it certainly, but I just don't know if it's really going to hit for me.
Ashley and Ken, I want to hear you
agree.
go. You guys go first on The Crow. Alex, you bring it home. Then we'll hit the chat, and then I think that'll be where we kind of wrap it up because I know we're getting close to our end time there. But The Crow.
I
Ashley.
agree, and that was something Ashley and I said when we first saw the trailer, was the fact that you didn't have to be Eric Draven.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen different iterations, and one thing, even though we're not the biggest fan of the Poltergeist 2015 remake, when they sat down in the writer's room, they said that there will not be another Carol Ann. Heather O'Rourke was Carol Ann. This little girl's name is going to be Maddie. She's going to have dark hair, not blonde. This is not going to be Heather. And I wish they would have paid that same type of respect to Brandon Lee and saying, look, that was Eric Draven.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be, Skarsgård's going to make his own way, and we're going to pay tribute to Brandon Lee by not putting Eric Draven in this story. Besides that, I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously we're gonna go see it.
Right.
I'm kind of excited for it.
I'm not too much into the look. Crost Malone isn't really kind of the look I was going for when I was hoping to see this movie. But that's trademarked, by the way. Cross Malone is mine.
Okay.
But
You're
Everyone
marking a
wants
few things tonight.
yeah, I'm sure
You're gonna
everybody's
have some
steal
paperwork to
Cross
do
Malone.
after this.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the first Crow movie.
Yeah.
I think that it's a beautiful love story that takes place in Detroit. You know,
There you
represent.
go. Yeah.
Even though it was quite obviously not filmed anywhere near Detroit.
That's
But
not-
you
It
know,
Follows
it's
is a nice love story in Detroit.
that takes place in Detroit.
Yep.
And the cool thing, a lot of It Follows was actually filmed in Detroit, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll be there opening night for The Crow. You know, I think it's
Mhm.
something that
I guess I don't have a lot of like expectations for it. Like
Right.
I feel like if I go into it with low expectations, maybe it'll exceed my expectations. I don't know.
it just looks so much different than the original, which is what I want. I want you
Yeah.
to, you know, kind of tell me the same story, but make it your own. I do not want to see Cross Malone say it can't rain all the time. I do not want to hear that. Like, that's something I don't want to see.
What if he
Give me
sings
your
it,
own
though?
story.
He'll say like something else, like
Yeah.
it can't snow all the
Yeah.
time, or it's like
Yeah.
like a
Oh.
play on
Yeah, he
it,
did.
and it won't hit the
It
same.
can't
And then
acid rain all the time.
Yeah,
in
so
Detroit.
he'll look at her and be like, "You always see the lightning before the thunder."
There you go.
then
I
Is that a RoboCop reference I just made too? By the way?
I do have to
Okay.
say, Evan and I are kind of in our own little camp over here because at least last I checked, we're the only two on the panel who have never seen The Crow.
It's true.
So we're going to get educated before the new
Stop
one comes
making
out.
us old.
Don't worry, we will.
Watch
we'll
the
both-
first one. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
have the kid that played John Connor playing the Crow later on in the franchise, it's kind of fucking weird. But
See, I didn't even know there was more than one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did, at least knew that,
Stop.
but they're apparently not very good. But
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll-
they get better as they go. Yeah.
serious
Alex,
question.
I know-
Ask
Like
a
The
minute ago,
Howling.
Evan, how long did it take you to read the It novel?
Oh, a couple months. It was one of those
Yeah.
things where like and I would bring it with me to work, and I was reading it when we went camping. Like it was one of those things where, and I wasn't reading much at the time, so like I would maybe read like 10 pages a day or something like that. But also like
Yeah,
the
it took
type
me 3
thing-
hours to watch the movie, nerd.
Yeah. So multiply that by a couple months, and then
Yeah.
you
Right.
got it. But that's, it's,
For those of you that don't know, I'm a huge Evan fan, so I gotta throw a rib at him whenever I
oh,
can. You know,
no, you're
Rockland
good, man,
Graves
you're good.
means a
I
lot.
dislike
He's
him
alright.
heavily, so
yeah,
Like-
overrated as fuck. Alex, you
Yeah,
are
right.
another person on the panel here who is a Crow fan
Yeah.
and a Crow
Big Crow
connoisseur.
fan. No, actually, I got to be honest.
I know you kind of flipped.
I
on your
rewatched it
audience there.
recently, and it wasn't as fond as I remember it last time. And now, I come from the goth industrial community, okay? So
Mhm.
I have been a big part of that. And I don't know if that maybe changed things for me over the years because of, you know, how I perceive it. But when I was younger, I perceived it in a much more romantic way.
Mm.
And maybe, you know, actually being a part of the scene or something maybe kind of tainted that in some way. But unfortunately, I found the movie, the older movie, enjoyable. Brandon Lee obviously being great, but also Ernie Hudson doesn't get enough credit because I thought he was fantastic
Absolutely.
in the movie. One of his better roles, to be quite honest with you. I really just loved him as a cop, but I thought that
Ernie
the
Hudson was
killer
so
was a little
in
too
that movie,
tried.
dude.
What's that?
I said he was Ernie. The scene in the kitchen, like that
Right.
scene is so powerful. Like when
It's
Brandon
so good.
realized, like you know,
He's the
you tried to
unspoken
save
hero
her.
in that movie, dude. Like everybody talks about
Okay.
Brandon, but I love Ernie in that movie.
So
but,
good.
but I did find that some of the writing in it to be a little try hard, a little cringy at times for me. Even though I have a fondness of it in my youth, you know what I mean? Because it was a very big movie for that time. It was like identity calling for me, you know, for a lot of people, really. It was like, oh my God, we finally have a movie, you know, like just as Return of the Living Dead was for punks. You know what I mean? So like, it's just one of those things, you know, like, but I think that it lacked on that relationship thing a lot. And I think what this new movie is doing seems to be engaging with the girl to show that love, possibly more than the original does,
Yeah.
so that we actually feel the impact of losing the person instead of vicariously through edgelord Crow. You know, I mean, I'm just being funny, but like, you
No,
know
I
what
get
I
what
mean? So it's not as like, I feel like I needed to go through that process, and maybe this new one will have something like that in there that I'll relate to their love a little bit more than I did in the first one.
Well,
So.
we're making confessions of things that we rewatched and didn't have a good of time with as we did the last time. I don't know if this is because I've just seen them way too many times now, but I'm going on Wolfman's Got Nards tomorrow to talk about the Halloween trilogy. It's not Trick or Treat, Ken. So I rewatched the trilogy, and I was annoyed the entire time.
Are you talking the David Gordon Green trilogy?
No,
It's happening.
I have been historically the man who says I fucking love these movies and they're my favorites, and I don't think that's changing.
Why did you choose right now to do that? This could have been the whole conversation.
Wait,
like this, but no, I will say
I think it's because I've seen them so many times and I've talked about them so much that like rewatching them, there is absolutely nothing more for me to get out of. So while I was rewatching the trilogy, I wanted to be watching anything else.
Are we talking about Halloween? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I'm more.
I think it's the copyright strike, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah, I was mad at
no,
Universal.
Did I tell you, Evan, that I almost walked out of the theater during Halloween 2018 and she stopped me and made me stay?
No, you didn't.
No joke. When Dr. Sartain popped up with the Michael Myers mask on, I was like, I'm fucking done.
It was one of the worst.
Dude,
it's
I'm
stupid.
so with you on that
It's
right
stupid.
there.
I'm fucking done. And Ashley was like, sit your ass down.
I agree.
was like,
That's dumb. Yeah. Yeah. Especially the big one was
Dee Dee
Halloween
in the
Ends,
chat.
where
Yes.
I've been like,
I will.
oh,
Dee,
hell yeah.
we are Detroit people.
That's awesome.
Detroit is home. I got an Al Kaline jersey up here. We are Detroit folks around here.
Are you down with the
Dee
clowns
asked
though?
in the chat. I just wanted to answer that.
Are you guys down with the clowns? I'm just curious.
Oh my god, man! I got a hatchet in my right hand, bro.
Hey,
We've only got a few minutes left, and I do want to make sure we get some of the chat questions here. But last thing I want to say is this will be the final episode of Beyond the Splattered Graves. We have committed and done the mission. We're ready to go home. Evan has finally lost faith in David Gordon Green and his trilogy, so we're good. We did it,
It's a
boys.
miracle.
Yeah.
We got
But,
Ladies
this.
and gentlemen,
I believe in you.
we got him.
Well, no, now you have to make me not like Eggers stuff.
Oh, we'll
I
get
don't
you
even
the
wanna
luck.
do that. That's Alex's solo journey. You
Yeah.
can do that. But let's.
I work wonders.
Oh, and last piece that I'll forget when we get off here. Luke and I went to see 2018 twice. Only the second time because we were in denial that we didn't like it the first time.
Mm.
So we went Sunday morning, and it was just a lot of just sitting there, just like, why did they do that? Why did they have him pop up with the mask? What was up with that? So yeah, I was right there with you, Ken. It was tough. I wanted to love that movie so bad. Like
Kills was my favorite of the trilogy when I watched it.
Kills was the most fun. So Mr. Boone hits us with he was a lot of fun in Boy Kills World. And you know, Ken, you mentioned that one there. So you guys got to check that one out, I take it, or because we have not seen it yet. So
Isn't it out? POD?
it's on
VOD?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very, very action packed.
Okay. I do want to see it. I know just it's gotten a lot of praise. It's also that was Sam Raimi's production company, Ghost House.
Yep.
So yeah, I want to see it. So I definitely want to get there. These ones are for Evan specifically. Artie Pavlov says Nosferatu, never heard of it.
It's not
And then
for
O
you.
says, oh, Nosferatu.
Right.
And then he hits it. It'll be dog shit. So
Oh,
just so you guys know.
What the
anyway,
fuck? Man, message me on Discord. I got some shit to say to you.
And then Cynthia hit us with this is why I wanted to hop on that the Crow stuff. Do you think the Crow will be any good? It's getting a lot of pre-release hate. So we kind of went through that. Definitely our main experts on the Crow there all agree that they're interested, but a little on the fence. And then I would like to see Bill Skarsgård as Spider-Man villains such as Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, or the Chameleon by his Bill Creepy Face. And I actually, being a Marvel fan, I think that would be a really good pick for Chameleon. But also, I would be interested to see him as Hobgoblin. If anybody has
Carnage,
anything,
man? Skarsgård,
you know,
great.
that's a
card.
good point.
I like that idea.
I like that, but I also actually loved Woody Harrelson as Carnage. I thought that.
Oh yeah.
I love Woody Harrelson, but like that could just be my love for that. But like, yeah, no, that's not bad. There's a lot of kind
I'm
of
just a natural born killer.
darker Marvel characters I'd love to see him take on. Dice Roland says, I heard Skarsgård mention that he hopes people will find this version of Nosferatu as sexy in a gross and unsettling way. And I'm here for it. So yeah,
What's up,
I
guys?
couldn't agree more. Couldn't
See you tomorrow
agree
night.
more. Motionless Zombie. He didn't even need to be Eric Draven in the new Crow movie. Should have told the director to rename his character. So yes, you were totally in agreement here. Many people feel the same. Anybody see him on the Netflix show Hemlock Grove? I think he was a vampire on that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from that show, my dad started watching that, and like I just walk into the room. And it's the sequence, if any of you have seen the show, where he's in the bathroom with this chick, and then you find out that she's on her period. And then I was like, "What's going on with that?" He's going down on her or whatever, and he's got blood on his face. And then you're just like,
burn.
"You're just yeah, right." And
waste not, want not.
I was just like, "What is going on here?" He's like, my dad just is like, "Well, he's a vampire," so I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was just like, "What the fuck are you watching, Dad?" I'm like 15. I'm like, "This is interesting."
By the way, that's very is that True Blood style? That feels like.
Yeah, I feel like that would be something you'd see more in True Blood. Dice Roland says, is this new Crow movie where a sequel where Skarsgård portrayed a different character, not Eric? It probably would have been better received. So yes, again, that seems to be the common sentiment with this, and I think that's totally fair. Cynthia says, definitely an unnecessary remake. Doesn't mean it can't be good in its own ways. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like all the Big Crow people I know are on that page. Necro says, I've heard Bill was good in Castle Rock, but I haven't watched it. And yeah, does he play? Who does he play in Castle Rock? Is it just a
you can't say without ruining the plot. It's just he's in it.
Okay.
But let's just say he has a famous line in the movie. He's like, "You don't know what's happening, do you?" And I made a meme about it. I was like, "No, nobody does. What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, that's one of those J.J. Abrams joints too. So
dude, it's like fucking Lost. The first season of Castle Rock is like Lost, and there's some good nuggets in it, but the sequel or the second season is much better. So,
all right. And then the last thing on the Crow here, says the soundtrack aged better than the movie. So I don't know if that's a hot take. I know a lot of people, I see a lot of love for the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack, but the Crow soundtrack is one of those ones that when I was working at a music store, every single record store day, it was getting sold out. People loved that vinyl. So,
dude, the 9 Inch Nails cover of Lost Souls was like, that was my favorite.
Yeah, and then we have Chris Marshall in here saying, "Great stream, guys."
Hey,
thank you, Chris.
What's up, Mars?
And then DD, I love my Detroit Tigers, live in Seattle now. So
I have Detroit Tiger fingernails.
There we go.
I was actually watching the Tigers game, not watching the Tigers game, but I was having the score updates pop up on my phone as we were going. Tigers won tonight. So yeah, huge Tigers fan, DD. Show that love from Seattle. Thank you.
But that, I gotta say, is going to be wrapping us up here. Ken and Ashley do have to be off by 11, so we have to give them back to the world. We can't keep them forever, unfortunately, but we'd love to have you back, and I'm sure we will. And I do want to just give you guys the floor for a minute to let everybody know just a little bit more about what they can expect from you guys here soon. Are you popping up on any other channels? What is in the horizon here for you guys?
Tomorrow we'll be live on our channel at 8 p.m. Eastern with Dice Rollin and Davey Deathray counting down our top 10 Final Destination kills. And then Friday we'll be over with live on the horror show doing the first episode of the reinvigorated Elevator Pitch, where we will be giving elevator pitches about movies that we would create. And then if you're in the Kentucky area, Ashley and I will be guests at GhoulieCon July 19th and 20th. So come out. We'll be talking about filmmaking, and we'll be premiering a special clip from our new movie that we're working on right now called Psychasthenia. And then July 26th, 27th, and 28th, we will be guests at Atlantic City Celebrity Convention out in New Jersey. So come out and hang out with us there if you're in that area. I mean, you also get to meet like nobodies like Bret the Hitman Hart, and there'll be a couple other buddies around.
Fuck those guys
or whatever. You like some Walking Dead people. Like there's a guy. What was Greg Nick Ortero? Something like, I don't know. Something.
Guy sounds lame as fuck.
Some other no names will be there too. So if you're going to be in the New Jersey or Kentucky area in July, come and meet us. We would love to be able to meet you, and especially come out to GhoulieCon. We're very excited. The first film we made, Home is Where the Haunt is available on our YouTube channel right now. And Psychasthenia, we're just going to start saying it because I've already spoiled it so many times. Psychasthenia is a sequel to Home is Where the Haunt is.
Oh, nice.
I know. It was supposed to be a surprise sequel, but I'm just a piece of shit.
Not too excited. It's okay.
Yeah. Her Mother's Day present is always given to her in like March. So I can't keep surprises.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Yeah, it's a sequel to Home is Where the Haunt is, which is it's a very different direction. I like to think of this as like X and Pearl in how the tone of the movies are different. Home is Where the Haunt is very reality based. A lot of Home is Where the Haunt is about the real life death of my mother and the aftermath of that. And then Psychasthenia is a complete work of fiction. There's no reality in Psychasthenia whatsoever. We fictionalize everything in Psychasthenia, and our daughter has a huge role in that film, and I'm very excited for the direction of where Psychasthenia is going. And we're, like I said, we're premiering a 5-minute clip of the film at GhoulieCon, and we're doing a panel about filmmaking, and Ashley's doing a panel about women in horror, the horror housewives, and she'll be walking on the runway for a fashion show.
Nice.
So
damn.
Man, you guys are busy.
I was literally about to say that. I'm like, you guys are slammed. Holy cow.
We have a very busy summer.
Yeah. We also have football and, all that other stuff. So being parents on top of that. So
that's awesome.
Thank you guys for making time for us. We had an amazing time hanging out with all of you again. Now,
great to meet you both. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been great. And honestly, like, you guys sounds like you made time for us. Cause like, you guys are everywhere, but well-deserved. Absolutely well-deserved. I mean, you guys, again, have built this infamous kind of, persona, I would say, online here with the horror community. People absolutely adore you. I don't know a horror fan who doesn't know Sledgehammer Horror, and it's so well-deserved. And like even Evan said, I think it was off air, but like, you guys have climbed so far, and it's such an inspiration for smaller channels. Like, so great, so well deserved. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Your check's in the mail, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yes, that's all I needed. Cool, I'm good. All right, let's get out of here, nerds. But Evan, Alex, you guys want to plug what you got going on real quick, and then I gotta wrap it up. So
yeah, sure. So I'm Evan over at Rockland Graves, just doing like weekly horror movie video essays, doing streams on Wednesdays as well. Right now we're playing Resident Evil 7. We got a video on X coming up next week. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. We just hit 25,000 subscribers. I put up a Q&A video for that today. Thank you very much. So if you are watching and you are subscribed, thank you very much. If you are watching and you aren't subscribed, you either don't like me or you should go subscribe. There you go.
Please do.
I just unsubscribed. There we go.
All right, that's fine.
You're now at $24.99.
Yeah. Fuck! That's how it always happens.
Yeah.
Alex, what you got going on, man?
I got a lot going on too, but not nearly as much as these two wonderful people. But I do want to share a little something. So this is going to be part of something that I am working on in a new storytelling segment that I have not announced the name of yet, but it's a beautiful name. I've got the perfect logo, and I've been inspired. It's going to take a few weeks, but that'll be up. I'm doing that while doing the Atrium Horror Film Festival as the judge for the horror comedy section, which is very difficult and demanding. I'm also going to be doing a review of Junji Ito's Ramina, which is a manga. I'm doing all things horror, and some new movies and a haul video. And I'm doing a video with Mr. Cobwebs, actually, for one of the creature feature movies on the 1980s that are underrated. And I can't wait to talk about it because I actually got to meet one of the guys who is one of the creators in it. And so I'm super excited to talk about that.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
And
if you like awesomeness, follow me. I'm just kidding.
and a final thank you to Troy, Sledgehammer Horror, D Nice 9000, and of course O for donating to the stream. We deeply appreciate it. Helps keep this thing going. And that's awesome. And thank you all for who chimed in, asked questions, all that. We love you all so much. And keep it right here. In 2 weeks, we'll be back. And I guess no need to keep it a secret. We will have another guest on the stream that time. And that one, I'm messing up the order in my brain. That one is on Evan's. It is Cobwebs, but is this on your channel or is this Alex's channel next?
I don't remember.
Wait. Oh, no.
We're the last one, aren't we?
I was on my birthday, close to my birthday, or we did it towards the end of the April. So then it was to you, and now it's on Evan.
Okay, Evan's next. So Cobwebs on Evan's channel. We'll be sharing it around. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ashley and Ken. Alrighty, that is going to wrap us up here, guys. So thank you so much again. And as always, long live the void. Stay scared. And we hope you enjoyed your stay. Have a good one, guys.